Welcome to the finals of the National Men's T20 League. Aziz Damani are taking on Celylon Lions. This is not the first time these two sides are meeting. They've met once before in 2017 in a final, still here at the Chambogo Kekerovo. But Aziz Damani came out on top in that game. But this time, I'm sure Celylon Lions must be thinking to themselves that this is an opportunity for them to be able to pick up their first silverware as Celylon Lions. They've won something, as their only other silverware in the local circuit has been winning the Division 2 championship, which they won in 2019. But they're yet to pick up any other silverware as a top flight team. Therefore, they must be thinking that this will be an opportunity for them to pick up something of themselves. Damani are here because they had a small matter of Wanderers to deal with, and they were able to pick up a win in that semi-final by 87 runs. Challengers took the harder route to this final because they had to beat a very, very competent Challengers. Celylon Lions took a harder route because they had to beat a very competent Challengers side by 50 runs in Lugogo. They've made that short distance from Lugogo to Chambogo to be able to take on Aziz Damani in the final. Wazim Bat opening the batting with Simon Sesazi. Damani won the toss and, of course, selected to bat first. But let's see how this game goes and how everything unfolds. Ivan Baidu doing the business for Celylon Lions, but this time he gets too full, and Wazim Bat walks to that delivery and just punches it through covers for a beautiful boundary. Alex Obanda didn't even bother to move. He knew once that was hit, it will stay hit until it reaches the boundary. Going to be a difficult game, especially for Celylon Lions. They come into this final as the underdog because we all know that Aziz Damani are the kings of local cricket here. They have close to 10 national team players in that side. So therefore, there's going to be a lot of work for Celylon Lions if they're going to be able to deal with them. But the go-to man for Celylon Lions has to be that man, the Kenyan international, Alex Obanda, who scored 75 in the morning game and has already scored a century in this T20 tournament. That man can put away any bowling attack, and I'm sure he's not afraid. And once he gets going, he should be able to help Celylon Lions pick up the win. Ruan Simon Cesars rattled a bit there by David Wabwire, but unfortunately, David Wabwire is picked and dropped in the forest, in the swamp, not even the forest, around the Chambogo Cricket Oval. David Wabwire, formerly of Challengers, but now working very hard for Celylon Lions. Should be an interesting final here. Damani needs to put on a very good total if they are going to challenge Celylon Lions, because Celylon Lions are also very, very competent with the bat, so they will be coming very hard against them in this game. The umpires out in the middle, Simon Kintu and James Bamalese. And I'm joined in the commentary box by someone who's not very used to these things, but has been very, very helpful around Uganda cricket for the past 1 year. Edgar Kazwe, the psychologist of the cricket cranes of Uganda Cricket Association, not just the cricket cranes. Good ball there from David Wawide. A lot of people think David Wawide was underutilized as a resource by Uganda cricket, but I can't fault the young man. David loves cricket, but he had to make a choice, I think, between the sport and crafting out a good career for himself. He's now a doctor. I think he's probably into his 4th year. And medicine, as I understand, needs a lot of attention. And given the fact that he studies out of town in another district and another region of Uganda, in southwestern Uganda, he studies at the KIU campus in Ivanda. It's difficult for him to give the same amount of time he could have given maybe if he was studying around Kampala. So unfortunate there for him, but those are some of the choices you need to make, especially when you come from this part of the world where it is hard to choose between what you want to do and actually what actually puts bread on the table for your family. So somehow David has just tended into being a club cricketer rather than actually being a very good international for Uganda, but hopefully in future something gives. 2 overs down, Challengers not yet fluid as they should be with the bat, but Simon Cesars and Wazim Bat are working very hard for Uganda, for Aziz Damani. Edgar Kazibwe, what do you think about, on overall, a lot of people have been talking about the importance of mental health in the lives of professional athletes now. What has been your experience working with the young cricketers who are playing for Uganda cricket?
The experience has been really, really quite revealing. Very many things happen behind the sport. When you see someone turning up on the field every single day, they have a lot going on in their lives that they have to work with, they have to sort. And all the time when you see them coming out to perform well, probably very many pieces are being patched up together and things are working out right. So based on the work that I always do with all these gentlemen that you see playing, going back and examining the situations where they are dealing with, let's say, their families, their spouses, their school, the younger ones, how they are dealing with their parents, and all that stuff. So all that comes in to produce the fine cricketer who is going to deliver that golden ball, or who is going to give you the sixes consistently every tournament. So mental health is really, really important when it comes to cricket, when it comes to any other sport. And by the look of things, most of the players that we've put onto this project for the past 1 year have been gradually improving, adding on to something in their lives, patching up issues that may be wanting or that may need to be sorted, and eventually you see the top player who returns whenever you really need them to return.
Wazim Bat there powering that over covers. He's taken a liking to Ivan Baidu, especially all the deliveries that Baidu has been bowling very full outside of stump. He hasn't given the people in covers, Alex Obanda there and Robinson Obuya, only looking at themselves because there's nothing much they can do. He hits the ball very, very powerfully, and there's little or nothing that There's little or nothing that that the guys in covers can do. Good comeback delivery there from Ivan Baidu. Not very. I was him, but not so strong on balls that are just balled short of a length. He's a very, very strong on deliveries that are balled very full. He will hit them so hard. But Ivan Baidu noticing that and he just drags his lengths back a bit to try and challenge Wazim Bat. Edgar, they have some very, very good explanation, but in the context of how things happen here in Uganda, how does you as a psychologist get in to help a proper cricketer practically, not just in book material?
A lot comes in there. We usually have individual sessions and then the group sessions. Individuals are the ones where we are often having a one-on-one with a certain player, trying to understand their thought process, challenges they could be having in life, and as we work with them, you start to realize issues that may need to be worked on, changing of perception, developing their brains, equipping them with psychological skills that as well can help them in terms of performing on the field and bringing that A game consistently. Then the group sessions, of course, team building and trying to make sure the teams are gelling as one, producing the finest performances as a solid team. Things like working together, cohesion, all those things come up with a group dynamic. So that is how usually we approach situations. Most of the time you find that people who are in this profession are doing the lots of one-on-one sessions. If you're working with individual athletes, most of the time you find that you'll have to have a phone call or two, 30 minutes, 20 minutes of a session, and eventually you clearly understand wherever they are. In the first sessions are presenting problems, then gradually you find interventions to help them make sure they are on top of their game and living and having a very good welfare outside the sport and within the sport.
Very, very good work there from Edgar Kaziwe. It's been a while. Mental health has, especially with the advent of COVID, has been something that has been stressed a lot, because personally, I'll tell you, Edgar, that there are things that we go through, and I've been part of some of your sessions. There are things we go through, and as I want to, the term may be difficult, and not to sound anything. Big shot there from Wazim Bat. Deus Muhumuza tries to drag that back, stopping it, preventing it from going for 6, but he's unable. Deus did something like that in Rwanda and pulled it off, but this time he's unable to do it. Fortune there, big edge from Wazim Bat, didn't get the very good connection from it. Didn't get very good connection, and but he's able to get 6 out of it. Aziz Damani here only trying to deal in the big ones, not doing a lot in terms of picking up 1s and 2s. Therefore, maybe they need to mix it up a bit to make sure that they complement the boundary hitting with running singles very hard. And I think you can see out there in the middle, Wazim Bat just walking those runs. Yet Simon Cesar showed more intent in terms of trying to run very hard between the wickets. But Wazim Bat probably trusts his power more than his legs. Edgar, like I was saying, that in the context of things, some of us, and I think when we even played, we never had opportunities to work with people like you of your skill. But most times as Africans, we go through these things and we think, probably I'm hungry or something, but when you actually don't know that you're struggling with something mentally, how do you make the players come to that realization that probably if you're in the right headspace, you could be able to, to perform at your best?
A lot comes in there when you're turning up to play every single day. One of the things I work with the players ever since I started working with all the national teams, the ladies, the under 19, the senior men, one of the things is usually raising that self-awareness. What are you feeling as an individual? Are you walking in straight just for the sake? Do you have things like goals you have planned and everything like that? So by raising your self-awareness in the first place, you clearly understand what's going on within you and around you, and that is where we build from to have something that we can clearly work with in terms of the mental. So building it from there, most of the time when I walk out to help these players or chat with them, one of the first things I usually ask them early in the morning is to rate themselves. How do you rate yourself out of 10? Did you have a good night's sleep? Did you try to work around the way you carried yourself, and are you taking care of yourself? That's self-care as well. All those small details are some of the things I keep checking on every single morning, and that is where all that is added up to make sure that we have a fine picture of how mentally someone is, and what kind of situations and what kind of issues we need to sort or find interventions for, or even just reinforce the good things that are happening. And one of the things actually that comes biggest into play is those losing situations, not alone in the game but even in life, losing a relative, losing a loved one. All those things as well are some of the things that we try to handle, and everything. I can arguably tell you, Dennis, that one of the most important things an athlete can ever have is self-awareness, and most of the players who rank so highly on self-awareness find themselves really performing well. And as they develop over the years that self-awareness, clearly the performances will have no option but to shoot way high.
Wicket time. David Isavidier. David Wabwire, not Isavidier. Into the wickets. Very happy man there. Gets his reward after Simon Sesazi had picked him up and dropped him in the swamp. But Simon is beaten all hands up. And Celylon Lions pick up their first wicket. And a big wicket there of Simon Sesazi. Simon can be very dangerous. We saw him doing the business for the cricket cranes in Rwanda. But today, unfortunately, he's unable to carry Aziz Damani. Damani 34 for 1 in 4 overs. Not a bad start from him and was in bat. And Roger Makasa, a.k.a. Papa, walks on the wicket to join Wazim Bat. That's good bowling there from David Wabwire. Edgar, you can continue. You can carry on. I must say I'm enjoying this conversation. Probably I'm having my own session right now.
Yeah, so the issue of self-awareness is what we're talking about. It's really key. And as you even observe the wicket that has just fallen, most of the time, those small lapses in concentration is one of the big things as well that we work on. Once you lose that concentration, once you lose that focus in that one moment, that ball, it's always the one that is going to pick you, and you'll be out losing your wickets. So clearly the whole game of cricket, and even outside cricket, the mental bit of it is really important and very vital. And clearly, if you speak to as many athletes as you can in the game of cricket, all the finest have found themselves developing the mental so that it is way up there for them to have top performances. And I was even having a laugh at one moment where we were having a Twitter space, and we were speaking to Gerhard Erasmus of Namibia, who outlined very many things concerning the mental aspect of the game, how they try to deal with the bubble in the T20 World Cup. And that is something I really found pleasure in, but clearly it was underscoring the importance of having that mental aspect, developing it, harnessing it, so that every single time you're performing quite well and consistently. And that comes as well onto the wicket, where you have to switch on and switch off, switch on and switch off. Every ball you have to switch on, and then when there's that small break for the next ball, you can be able to switch off so that you don't waste your mental energies or your mental resources as the game goes on. So those are some of the things that we keep looking at and keep developing, having some workshops, and I can say it's a really huge mile that we've traveled with literally all the national teams in terms of developing them in that journey.
Wow, amazing stuff there Edgar is doing with the Uganda cricket as well. I know he's been involved with the ladies, the under 19 boys, the A side, and the cricket cranes themselves. Good shot. Wazimbat, they are very cheeky. Tries to play the ramp over the keeper. It's only lucky that Ashraf Sekubuga is not a very tall man, but maybe he could have thrown himself at that ball and taken the chance. They continue to create chances, and I'm sure that is why Jonathan Sebanya is clapping for Ivan Baidu. Once you see batters giving you opportunities, you know you stay in the game and you stay encouraged that anything could happen for you. And that's very good stuff. Ivan Baidu, very decent bowler, left-arm bowler, has been around. These days is based in Kamengo because he lives and works there with part of the Celylon group. But he learned his cricket and trade in Jinja. And his bigger brother, Mwanja Joshua, is also a very good left-arm bowler. So a family of left-arm bowlers who have served Uganda cricket very well. Cheeky single for them. Roger Mukasa there batting with Wazimbat. Edgar, like you've kept mentioning, and you've spoken so well about the good things. Everything sounds very good, especially on paper. But, I mean, I would like to know from you, what has been the appreciation for, mental health training, especially for elite athletes who are national team players. They may still be amateurs, but at least for them, they play at a decent level, better than my own club Wanderers. What has been their appreciation of? Have they given you that look in to say that, you know what, Edgar, you helped me here. I was struggling with this. Now I'm more confident about this, and I can do it better because mentally I'm in a better place.
This is a promise I actually made to a couple of colleagues from the time I joined and started working with the teams. We were looking at having at least some quality products by the end of 3 years. So far I've moved about 1 year and 7 months, and to be honest, they've been very good reviews, especially from the budding players who spend more time on the wicket, more time in the trainings, more time turning up, and they heed to the calls in terms of the workshops that we raise, the assignments, and all that. So they've been quick results, to be honest. Most of the players are finding their footing, and they are trying to gain ground mentally. You realize if we talk about routines, if we talk about how to calm yourself down on the wicket, how to monitor and be more self-aware in terms of how you play, your batting, your bowling, remaining with that composure, and having all those qualities that make up the top batsman or bowler or fielder. There are very many players who are grasping that art, and to be honest, with a couple of years to come, we'll be able to have very fine cricketers if they just keep doing all the stuff that we've been talking about. One of the things I'm really big on is developing those mental skills, and those mental skills are the ones that always save you. Are you going on a tour, going with the national team, turning out to play in a different kind of area, different kind of environment, knowing things that are in your control and things outside of your control. Those small aspects are the ones that always and always shape the best mentally built cricketer. So those are things that have been appreciated. And to be honest, there are days where I'm trying to have a break away from cricket to just re-energize myself, but you find that there are players who are calling upon you, telling you they really need to be around to work with you throughout the whole week. So it's a very, very good return, very good positive, and I've noticed it get even better and better. Initially, many players were not sharing, were not opening up, but right now, I even get phone calls off duty, texts and everything, just to help out players, which is a very, very good trajectory in terms of helping them develop and become better players for the future.
Very good stuff there. Very good stuff. A lot of selfless work. I know you spend a lot of time with the players, and especially the amount of time you put in individually to try and understand the game so that you know where they're coming from and how best you can be able to help them. So we hope, and I know over time things will get better when the players better understand how useful you are to not only just their cricketing careers but their lives as well. So we are very, very, I'm sure Uganda Cricket is very grateful for the amount of work you've been able to do, especially with the UK Foundation Equity Sports, the amount of work that you guys have been able to put in and the resource you've invested in Uganda Cricket. It's very, very, I don't think you can put it in numbers for it for you to be able to equate it, but we know that over time we should have better cricketers. Loud appeals there from David Wabwire against Roger Mukasa. Roger loves the battle, and I'm sure he's a man who's not afraid, and he'll be looking at taking him on. One thing I like about Roger is he doesn't like bowlers dominating him, so he will come hard against you. It's either him or you. Whoever is able to win that battle will take the day. But and we see there trying to walk to. He's trying to walk to that delivery from David Wabwire. Damani is now 47 for 1 in 5.2 overs. Was in bat on 28 of 20. Not very fluid as yet. Has had a bit of fortune. But he's still hanging in there. The team today for Aziz Damani, very, very strong side. Simon Setsaz was in bat. Roger Mukasa, Frank Nsoboga, Sawood Islam, the captain. Rezat Ali Shah, Kenneth Weiss, Bilal Hassan, Henry Senyondo, Brian Masaba, and Freda Chelam. Have a very, very strong team. They can afford to have guys like Emmanuel Isanez on the bench because they have a lot of players. Celylon Lions is playing with Ruwan Jayantra, Ashraf Senkubuge, Deus Dedit Muhumza, Robinson Obuya, Jonathan Sebanja, Alex Awuma Obanda, Abong Collins, Kitamerike Marvin, Hashti Durahi, Ivan Baidu, and David Wabwire. I'm joining the commentary box. Edgar is still around with us, but we've also been joined by the former Cricket Cranes captain, the man who's more used to these things these days, rather than bowling off spinners out there in the middle, Davis Karashani. Damani 51 for 1 after 6 overs. Davis, Damani, a team with a lot of luxury. They can afford to have Jonathan Kiza and Emmanuel Isane is out on the bench. What do you make of this Damani team? They're the defending champions of this tournament and probably the favorites in this final.
Well, besides the personnel that they do have in their dugout one already, they are at 51 for the loss of just 1 wicket after 6 overs. Already that is an indication that they are in cruise control of this fixture. But looking down at the personnel into detail, these are literally the best cricketers in the country. For me, not fantastic cricket, you would say, for the development of the sport, but I mean, we operate in a free market economy, and I guess the investor, the Money Cricket Club, has managed to get into his ranks the best cricketers in the nation. So it's going to be a tough ask of Celylon Lions, but we must remember that Celylon Lions have just toppled challengers who are an equally big spinning club. So perhaps this might be the day that the underdog Celylon Lions walk out with 2 crunch victories against 2 very, very big sides.
And someone just asked me about that same thing. Actually, they just took notice that when they saw Damani warming up, he thought it's actually the national team that is warming up. So they were wondering where the competition comes from amongst the local teams, if one team is as packed as Damani is.
Well, there are 2 ways of looking at that. Of course, to some people that will be it will give a bit of encouragement. It will mean that they'll need to work much harder. I know there are players that get turned on when they're playing against big players and big particular teams. However, on the contrast is that quite a number of teams will feel hard done. They will feel there's literally no competition against Damani, especially when you have a look at what happened in the morning game. Wanderers, you would say, were literally blown away. They didn't seem to even put up a fight against Damani. So it's a case of two ends of the sword. Some teams will take a lot of encouragement for it and be excited with the opportunity to challenge the best, while many others will simply just lay down and take the beating.
That's very true. I think they were the gulf in class was clear in the first game between Damani and Wanderers. One team that just gets to Abong Collins there with the breakthrough for Celylon Lions. Very lazy outside off stump was in bat, and he gets a feather through to the keeper Ashraf Senkubuge. They pick up their second wicket, Celylon Lions. Davis, what do you think would be a good total from this Celylon Lions team that could be able to challenge, from Aziz Damani, that could challenge Celylon Lions? Because even them, if Alex Obanda gets going, he can lay into you and come up with a very, very big total. Sawood Islam joins Roger Mukasa out there in the middle.
Yeah, well, it's T20 cricket. I think anything that gets a bit, we've come to that any score that is about 160 already is competitive enough for your first innings total. However, this Chambogo cricket ground, Dennis, one hasn't seen a lot of cricket, you would say. This particular time of the year, the grass is grown. It's not as fast as we normally know the Chambogo cricket outfield to be lightningly quick. It will not offer that. So I do not think it will be a high scoring, I don't think it will be an easy ground to chase runs on. The boundaries are reasonably big, you would say. So I would think Damani will be looking to get anything above 160 runs. They'll feel they do have a chance. And yeah, you mentioned a good point, Alex Obanda. He's coming into this tournament having been the best batsman in that Division 1 tournament in Rwanda. A fantastic tournament for him as an individual. Not having enough to get Kenya over the line, and Uganda managing to pick up that solitary position to get into the global qualifier. But I think both teams really, they're filled with quality. Deus Mhomes is in this Celylon Lions side as well. So that those 2 players, cricket games, Dennis, we've talked about, are won by about 3 to 4 players. So if Alex Obanda, Deus Mhomes, Jonathan Sebanja, if they can find their mojo in this particular fixture, you have to believe that they could have an outside chance.
Good running there, quick one. Roger Mukasa, very, very quick between the wickets, and is able to pick up a single. These 2 guys here, Davis, I feel that, in my opinion, one took the place of the other in the cricket crane side. What do you think?
I'm very interested, of course, in this top four versus the man. It's simply a bunch of the top four best quality batsmen, top order batters in the country. So how they even get to line themselves up, one is interesting. But for me, Saudi Islam has walked in at number 4. That is a bit of a strange position, of course, him coming in at number 4. It would mean that he has a different role that he plays for Aziz Damani in their T20 format, unlike the role that he plays in the national team. But yeah, Dennis, you mentioned a good point. One literally took the other's place in the national side. However, I feel Roger opening or batting high up in the order gives him another opportunity to showcase to the world that he still has quite a lot to offer the Uganda national cricket team.
The head coach, Lawrence Mahatlani, is here today. I'm sure he'll be very, very interested in having a look and looking to see how well these two guys come out and combine. But like you've mentioned, different role for Saud Islam. For the cricket cranes, is usually batting at the top of the order, and this time he's more or less into the middle order. Davis, we just had an interesting chat with the psychologist of Uganda cricket, Edgar Kazibwe, who's mentioned the importance of mental health for elite athletes. I know, of course, for clubs, these are mostly amateurs. You're a psychologist yourself by training, but I don't think you have practiced any of it. I don't know for you, what would be the value add, especially when you played at that level?
Well, I think the mental aspect really just continues to showcase the value and the amount of importance that it does deserve to get recognition of. And I think Uganda cricket is very fortunate to have a qualified sports psychologist in Edgar Kaziwe. So Uganda cricket are very fortunate to have that luxury of having that's given out.
Louder pews and given out.
Roger certainly dissatisfied with that result from the umpire, but he's been sent back. He has to go back to the hut. But yeah, speaking about the value of the psychologist really in not just cricket but in elite sports teams, the significance cannot be overstated in the sense that, especially in these COVID times really, Dennis, guys going to bubbles for quite some time even before you get to bowl a single delivery. Teams have been finding themselves in a 2-week bubble whereby you have to stay in your room. The food gets delivered at your doorstep. So it's a very, very difficult time, unprecedented times that the value of the sports psychologist continues to come into play. The significance needs to be taken as seriously as possible. We've seen players go down to depression, to quite a number of mental disorders. So it's very important that that aspect of health is taken a lot more serious by many sports teams.
Very true, Davis. Very, very true. I know we spent quite some time in Rwanda while we were doing some commentary work for the ICC, and it was really very challenging when you have to just wake up in the morning, go to the ground, and then come back in the evening and straight into your room. So I wonder, for us, maybe it was just work, and then when you have a good day, you get it off. But I feel like if a player is not performing, you're not getting out, the decisions are not going your way. Maybe if you bowl and you're not finding the right areas to bowl, I'm wondering how you go back to the room and reflect, because we are not allowed a lot of, you don't have the luxury of a lot of back-to-back wickets for Deus Muhumuza, and the danger man Riyazat Ali Shah sent back without bothering the scorers. Deus Muhumuza was on a hat-trick. Riyazat was the difference in that semi-final in the morning, scoring 86 off 30 balls, but in this afternoon, Aziz Damani will need to find another hero because Celylon Lions have their tails up.
Yeah, well, surprise unsuccessful Riyazat Alisha. We've become very accustomed to seeing him go out there and do a very, very good job for whatever team he plays for, regardless of the shirt that he does wear. Today he's wearing an Aziz Damani shirt, and he's been sent back for an early shower. Not good signs, you would say, for Damani. But Celylon Lions have managed to claw themselves back into this particular fixture after having struggled in the power play itself, conceding 51 runs for the loss of 1 wicket. They've managed to make a bit of a statement in this particular middle phase of this T20 inning.
Hat-trick ball, but David Celylon Lions doesn't seem to be playing for the hat-trick ball. They've kept a conventional field. You would think that the new man, Kenneth Weiss, has been in for the last 5 overs.
Well, clearly, it looks like an opportunity they might miss out on, but Going by the bowling that Deus, really, his line of operation is he doesn't seem to trouble batsmen and beat batsmen to get them dismissed. He likes to play around with either cutting the ball. So he's not that attacking you would say, to give you wicket taking options. He thrives a lot on defense, and perhaps the captain of Celylon figured that rather than attempt to go attacking, just keep things as simple as possible and hope that Deus Momza can get a bad shot out of Kenneth Waiswa.
We like to say that the ship is very safe at the dock, but it was not meant for.
Yeah, very good point there, Dennis. Dennis, you seem to ask a little bit earlier. Of course, you talked about the aspect of mental health. Dennis, you and I, of course, will admit that I think we got the better end of the stick. For us who are just commentating, we could manage to get beauty sleep at night. But you, having been a player for quite some time, in such crunch tournaments, you don't get a lot of sleep, and it being COVID times, that will play a bit of challenges, especially on your mind. That you have to be there for a bubble, then you have to do well in each particular fixture. So I had to feel for some of the players. Yeah, we can't forget the fact that there was quite a lot of good stuff to see in Rwanda. Not just the vegetation and the appearance of Rwanda itself, but even the personnel of Rwanda were not bad to look at. But you must feel for the players in terms of them having to do well every particular day, and also think about the mental aspect in this COVID time.
And Ivan Baidu there, mistiming his dive, and the ball runs away. They'll pick up an easy 3. He just to run to that and pick it up. Could have just kept it. But a good over here from Deus Momuz has already picked up 2 big wickets. One of Roger Mukasa and another of Riyazat Ali Shah. That means that Kenneth Waiswa, who doesn't get a lot of batting opportunity, especially with Damani, will have to work very, very hard with Sawood Islam to make sure they put on a very competitive total for Ceylon Lions.
Dennis, speaking, Ivan Baidu, I'm very, very glad to see him out there on the field. I think he's one of those players that if he had put in a bit more time and shown a bit more seriousness, perhaps he could have had quite a number of overs he could have bowled for the cricket cranes. So for me, it's very, very good to see that the beautiful left-hander, left-arm seamer, is back into playing active cricket. He's found himself into the final of the T20 Cup, you would say. So I'll be hoping that this could be a start of his return to competitive cricket.
Very true, and I spoke about him earlier, and I mentioned that when you look at the two teams, Ceylon Lions seem to be like the poor man's Aziz Damani. They've done well within their own means, more like New Zealand. Guys like Colin Zabog, all very, very competent cricketers. All they needed was the motivation for them to keep playing, so some of them work with the Serenity Group back in Kamengo, and now with their cricket over, they are able to, put in a shift. I think after work, they're able to be able to bowl after work and have that, once you have a facility very close to you, the way Logogo has influenced upcoming players, they're able to to work on their particular skills and be able to come here and fight against teams that are better grilled, like Damani.
Yes, Dennis, that is the difference that facilities does make to a young budding cricketer. And it's very good to see Collins Abong not just playing in this particular game, but he's actually putting his hand up. He's picked up a big scalp of Wazim Bhatt that has been, I think if I'm not mistaken, he was perhaps the man of series of the last national T20. But unfortunately for Collins Abong, he's just bowled a no ball. That's been called no ball by the umpire Simon Chintu, chairman of the umpires. And Abong Collins will need to think through this particular delivery, as it is a free hit to Sawood Islam. Full toss from Collins Abong, but he gets out with it. Sawood Islam does not make any serious work with that. And that's it down to a waiting mid-wicket fielder who keeps it just to 1 run. Well, fantastic atmosphere here really. The Chambogo Kirovo, the sun is out. It's good to see that there are clear skies. So we will be expecting to get a full game of cricket this particular afternoon. Beautiful shot there from Kenneth Waiswa. Not very neat fielding down there from, surprisingly, Deus Muhumuza. He seemed to literally run past that one. Perhaps a deflection on the ground. But Collins Abong concedes a boundary. And Dennis, you'd like to think that with that beautiful shot from Kenneth Waiswa, that could be his shot to get his inning going.
Very true. Like rain in a desert, Davis. Very rare to see Deus Muhumuza fumbling in the fields. But maybe he's used to the lush green of the Gahanga Cricket Oval and not the bumps here at Chambogo Cricket Oval. So he has to come back to reality quickly. Kenneth Waiswa, I don't know, Davis, if you feel that sometimes when you play in a team that has a lot of talent, like Aziz Damani, it can slow down your progress. Maybe if you played in a mid-order team, probably like, give or take, I'll mention my own Wanderers, will give you a better opportunity because then there's more responsibility on yourself to develop your skill. Some of those skills come in handy, especially in the kind of tournaments that you guys play that are cutthroat. Every game is a final. You play 5 games, but each one of them, when you wake up every morning, you cannot afford to drop your guard in any of them.
Yeah, Dennis, I do agree with you, but to be honest with you, I would not be too worried about Kenneth Waiswa. He is an adult. He's, I think, about 23, 24 years of age. He's been out of the under-19 for quite some time. So I want to believe the decisions that he's made to play for Aziz Damani perhaps is one that is an informed decision. For me, the bigger concern has been Miyagi Juma, of course, the under-19 opening bowler, and Munir, yet another top-order batsman for the under-19 team. For me, them playing for Aziz Damani, that's a bit of a challenge because in this particular fixture, they are not playing. They are on the bench. Yet these are 2 quality players who could have actually used this particular tournament to actually do reasonably well for themselves, especially them preparing for the World Cup. So for me, those decisions, especially the youngsters, for me, are decisions that perhaps need to be checked. Well, just getting off the ground itself, the activity on the ground, we've just been joined in the commentary box by the head of Nation Media Sports Desk, Ismail Dakava Chigongo. He knows his way around cricket. He's a big-time specialist, of course, in cricket, in football, but he does know his way around cricket, and he's joined us in the commentary box. Ismail Dakava Chigongo, good afternoon to you. Welcome to this particular fixture. It's the final game of the T20 tournament. It's Aziz Damani, who are the defending champions, up against Celylon. Yeah, absolutely, Dakaba. You are spot on, especially with your last submission. It's as simple as that. I think if your skill set is good enough, you will. If you have a good head as well on your shoulders, you will find a way to quickly switch formats. But Ismail, I really allow me this opportunity to have a word from you on international media about the India debacle in the T20 World Cup itself. Your remarks about the reign of Virat Kohli, how India did in the particular tournament. And you could also use a bit of reference to how New Zealand did in that particular tournament. You have the ability to speak with your heart, but now is a good time to speak with your head.
For example, for New Zealand, I think India are way off in terms of their strategy for the T20 over game. I could also add that he's given out. Yeah.
Kenneth Wiseau misses a straight one, and Deus Mumza picks up his third scalp, 3 of which have been LBW. That's perhaps an indication of how straight he does bowl, and it's yet another indication about how he's been able to vary his pace and get a bit of that off-cutter going in this particular fixture.
For someone who is renowned for being a medium pacer, for him to kick the ball that straight, I thought even the one that got the Azali Shah was very slow. I thought it was very slow bowling, but that's the trick.
Yes, he does. Not the quickest bowler really going around international cricket, Deus is, but he's one of those very cunning bowlers. He's very limited in pace, but with that he makes up with a lot of intelligence with the way he bowls. He does cut the ball, he bowls pretty straight. He gets batters to play bad shots, and that allows him to pick up wickets and do a very good job for his team. But back to the particular, what I particularly asked you about India.
As the national captain walks in.
Oh yes, Brian Masawa, the national captain, walks into onto the wicket right now. Walks in at a time when Aziz Damani, you would say, are in a little bit of a spot of bother. They would have expected to be in a much better position, especially with the kind of heavy top order that they do have. For them to be asking Brian to come in at this stage, they will feel they have done reasonably badly, you would say. But Brian, of course, and Saud Islam are absolutely competent batters to bat for Aziz Damani in this particular phase.
Maybe Brian Masaba should bat just for 1 run, because I thought Masaba and Deus were
Yes.
brilliant in setting up the game eventually. Just didn't have enough hitters down the order. Probably with just one more hitter down the order. And the result could have been different. One of those who gave up in that game after the top order went very quickly. I actually wrote a headline. My colleague in the that I'm taking a headline. Top order collapse leaves Uganda with no place to hide. Instead, eventually, the man in which must have and they was saying, come on. I ended up thinking, I was thinking,
Ismail,
1911, who could just hit once,
yes.
the game would have been.
Ismail, you have little faith yet again. But yes, the kind of partnership that Deus and Brian Masaba had in that particular fixture brought the game back into Uganda's favor. But again, it's just an indication of how delicate T20 cricket is. Deus Muhumza and Brian Masaba, particularly, you would say, are accumulators of runs. They will not come out and bash the ball as easily as perhaps Dinesh or Riyazat Alisha might do. But they did understand what was required of them at that particular time. And it allowed them to play their natural games of simply rotate the strike, run pretty hard, put the bad ball to the rope. And that's exactly what Uganda needed at that stage. And we managed to get very close to the score, but unfortunately fell short by just 1 run.
Yeah, probably the most important aspect of sport or cricket. Understanding the situation. It doesn't mean sometimes you need to curb your instincts, sometimes you need to play outside your instincts just to ensure that your team gets there. But Davis, as you're saying, back to that World Cup debate, me, first of all, India, it's a bit of the strategy I think is wrong most of the time. They are playing the top order. I don't think is going after the ball like they should. They should be more aggressive. I also thought that they had tried, they had spent about 2-3 years getting a bowling lineup ready, and then just before the World Cup they decided to change it and selected Ashwin. Big reputation, had not been part of the team for 2 years. Then they go and pick him for the World Cup. It's a team that is gambling. And of course, there's reports of a difference in opinion about how the team should play between Virat Kohli and then Rohit Sharma, who is one of the most important players for the side, and that did not help, even if it did not spill out to the public, but you could almost sense that there was something wrong in there. And I remember sharing with you, Davis, I remember one of the games where they had to switch and then move Rohit Sharma from opening down to 3 to fast drop, and I'm thinking, come on, this is probably the greatest limited overs batsman. One failure does not mean that he cannot do the role again. So it's a team that was lacking a lot to do its strategy. But every time, you know, when India loses, it's very disappointing. I have a friend who was watching the games in Dubai and was telling me that you'd think the games were in Mumbai. The number of people all went out. Oh, and that's a brilliant catch, caught and bowled there. The captain, Brand Masaba, plays it back tamely. And Aziz Damani folding very quickly. That's not very bad for cricket. When Aziz Damani lose, yeah, we love to hate teams that are doing well, don't we?
You guys, but anyway, back to the cricket here at the Chambo Cricket Oval. As Ismail has just mentioned, Brian Masaba has been sent back to yet another early shower for Aziz Damani batsman. They are in. It's getting worse than just a spot of bother. As you want to believe that Celylon Lions have not only clawed back into this fixture, but at this particular stage, Celylon Lions are in cruise control. If the left-arm spinner can continue operating that way, slowing the ball down, trying to get as much patches out of this wicket, he's going to cause a bit of trouble to the batters. And at this particular stage, Saud Islam is joined by the Ugandan wicketkeeper batsman, Fred Achalam. But the two senior batters have a handy job to do to try and get Aziz Damani to a respectable total in this first inning.
Achalam wore quite a big smile when he saw me walking. I hope he translates that smile onto the crease. If you're Saudi Islam, you're watching from the other side and welcoming one batsman after the other, you're thinking you need to get more of the ball. You need to face more of the ball, so maybe you protect your guys who are coming. But what's happened for about the last 3 wickets that have gone down, Saudi Islam has probably faced one of the previous 10 deliveries, and the new batsman advance facing. So when you've read the crease as the wicket as much as he has, you would rather be facing and have your batsmen who are walking in watch from the other side and sense how the wicket is playing before they face.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on there. I think Celylon Lions have done very, very well to keep Saudi Islam off strike. But I assure you, I know one captain who is that very attacking that perhaps at this particular stage would have considered having a slip fielder in there, especially first up to Fred Achalam, who has not faced a lot of cricketing. He hasn't faced a lot of deliveries. Him having to bat, especially, if I'm not mistaken, probably batted once in the tournament in Rwanda. So he's one of those that is short of actual match practice. So you'd want to think that the Celylon Lion captain perhaps can use this opportunity to try and attack Fred Achalam and see if he can find his way out of a very difficult position that Aziz Damani find themselves into.
Chance for Islam to smack it wherever he has to. Again, another straight ball. Can't do much with it. Just defend on the front foot and hope for the next bad ball. Because cricket is a game where the batsman is hoping for a bad ball to hit for 6, and the bowler is waiting for a good ball. So it's a game of choices.
Well, Teos Momza is stitching here a very, very good spell, you would say, for Celylon Lions. He has managed to pick up 3 very, very big scalps. And not just that, he's continued to try and operate and bowl the ball pretty straight, not allowing the batsman any room to hit the ball to wherever, to either end of the field. But again, Deus Momza does not deploy that slip fielder, especially to Fred Achalam, or bring in 1 or 2 fielders to try and attack Fred Achalam.
I've got to say, Davis, while I made my way here, I was very appreciative of Uganda Cricket Station for having as many tournaments as possible. It's been a very difficult period with the COVID, but for them to try and keep the players busy. You know, in sport, for federations, you'd rather have something in the press every other week than wait for 3-4 months to have a big tournament, then you have press. So for them to have tournaments every other time, it's a very welcome gesture. It's something that I know the football people have tried. I think they have the under 17, the under 20, the women, the national team, the league, and they ensure that they have a tournament every other month or so. And that is a very good sign from UCA. For all the ills that they're accused of, for them to have this kind of activity calendar is a very, very good thing, especially knowing that the national team has a lot of tournaments to play, and you don't want players to walk out there and they're feeling rusty or lacking confidence, who haven't faced enough balls yet.
Yeah, Ismail, I do agree with you. I think UC has done a fantastic job of ensuring that cricket activities continue to prosper, not just on this particular over, but we must mention the fact that just yesterday or the other day, there was an event, of course, that allowed for inclusivity, allowing the persons with disabilities to get a hand and play some cricket.
I missed the game, and the Giants only scored 62. That is 15 runs more than I could have added to their total. And they drew the game, so I wish I made my way. That was 77 guaranteed in 8 overs.
Ismail, let's keep calm. Let's keep calm. But interestingly for me, I thought both teams played extremely well on that particular day. And I think both teams really, neither deserved to lose the game. So the game ending into a tie for me was a fantastic to end of that particular fixture. But the massiveness of the event, the inclusivity that UCA has looked to try and allow the persons with the disabilities and go away from a non-discriminatory kind of terms to allow even those that are not just disabled, but those that might have felt marginalized to get back into cricket. I felt it was fantastic from UCA.
Someone actually once told me a few years ago, they're actually not disabled, they are differently abled. So I try to use that a lot of the time, the language, differently abled. Yeah, but very important event there, and especially to get the media involved, because many go out there and communicate and then do not have the same kind of knowledge about the challenges some of these face. I was in Japan earlier this year for the Paralympics, and I got to appreciate a lot of what they're able to do, including I got a chance to watch a fencer, if you know the sport of fencing, and this fencer has no arms, but his ability to strike the bull's eye was amazing with his feet. So those kind of things are very, very important. And also a reminder about the power of sport to get everyone involved. I don't know how many events can get everyone involved, but sport can do that. Sometimes I think, what can sport do?
Yeah,
and
that's
I
true.
can't name it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Of course, speaking about, as you mentioned, you were language sensitive, not to call them persons with disabilities, but just to mention something that perhaps, just to give it context, the wicketkeeper for Celylon Lions in this particular fixture, Ashraf Senkuwuge, is a former under-19 player. If I'm not mistaken, he is a law student at IUIU. But to put it into context, of course, what we've just been talking about, Ashraf Senkuwuge is playing with a dislocated finger. He's picked up an injury and he's out there fighting it out. He is the glovesman for this Celylon Lions side, who have not yet picked up any silverware, but they've come out today, and Ashraf has put his body on the line to ensure that he does a very good job for his team.
And probably a dislocated finger is the worst place for a glovesman, a wicketkeeper, to suffer an injury. It can't be anywhere else. Maybe if you're a bowler and it's on your non-bowling arm, it's okay. But for a wicketkeeper to have a dislocated finger and play is a stuff of resilience, the kind of things that you can only do if you're a winner. You have to be a champion to walk out and play with that.
Absolutely. I think going out there to play with such an injury is an indication about the kind of character that he does possess. But back to the cricketer, the left arm orthodox spinner continues to operate. I like the pace at which he is bowling the ball. He's bowling the ball pretty slowly and trying to get as much punches out of this wicket. And perhaps that will cause a bit of challenges to the batters. They'll need to have to wait for the ball a lot longer than they would have. And Ismail, they just ran 2 runs there off a Deus misfield at long off. We are not used to seeing a Deus misfield, but I guess he's only human.
The ball going to his left, and I thought he was a bit static. His run-up started too deep, and by the time he started to run, it wasn't the right one. It can be a game of small margins, you know. If you lost a game by 1 run, you're thinking, where would we have saved it when we're fielding? Where could we have done something slightly different? And sometimes those things can come back to bite. Hopefully, for Deus, who has had a fantastic game, that's not something he has to reflect on when the medals and the trophy are being given out.
Yeah, that's true. Especially for a guy that has been on some of those defeats by 1 run. So you want to feel that perhaps he'll be hoping that today, this afternoon is not one of those fixtures and he doesn't have to pay the price for that particular single he's just given away.
Review was the 1 run, and that was it. We couldn't have put it any better. Thank my colleague Innocent, with whom we do a lot of cricket stuff away from the throwing cameras.
Not just the cricket stuff, but anyway, let's not get into that part. But yeah, back to the cricket here, the Chambo Cricket Oval. There is a bowling change, and a surprising one, that the Celylon Lions captain has tasked Ruwan, who is, you would say, one of the investors at the Serenity Group, to bowl his right arm off spin. He is operating from right arm round. Interesting choice of bowlers, you would say, Ismail.
Yeah, over the wicket, this late in the game. Maybe, I don't know, your captain, if I have my right arm spinner, I wouldn't want him to be bowling from or around the wicket. Yeah, at this point in time, you know, the South Side Islam did that because then you can take your left leg out or your right, how you hit, and then create room and hit it. So I don't want him to be bowling from around the wicket. Not this late in the game when a team is desperate to get some runs on the board.
Yes, and with that, maximum brings up the 100 up for Aziz Damani. But yeah, as we did mention, really, a bit of a strange bowling change. Perhaps only Jonathan Sebanja does know what he intends to do with this bowling change. And yes, bowling from round can be a little bit of a challenge. It can be a very good defensive line to bowl, an angle, but it needs to be bowled at reasonably much quicker pace, because when you bowl from round for an off spinner, you're trying to be as defensive as possible. And we did see that Michael Leach from Scotland did it very, very well. Mohammad Hafiz from Pakistan does it excellently well. But you must be able to bowl the ball much quicker than perhaps Ruwan is. So, and I feel that Ruwan's off spin seems a lot more attacking. And him being an attacking off spinner perhaps would explore the option of bowling from right arm over the wicket to try and give these outfielders a chance of taking a catch.
But sometimes when you say bowling from there, and you mentioned Mohamed Hafiz, for him it's about the variation of pace when he bowls from around the wicket. That's how he's able to help his team late in games. And hope it's not too bad a decision. That's already what, 8 of the over? Yeah, 8 of the over. So it's it needs a wicket to make it a worthwhile over, gamble over, whatever. He needs a wicket off his final balls of this one.
Yansa, who does the intelligent thing, gets a full delivery and simply drives that wide of the field at long off, who does everything to misfield it. And that goes through him for 1 extra run. Ismail Dakavachigo, we did mention about the fine margins.
More than they ran 3 of that.
Yes.
It should have been a single where you pick and throw. It's a pick and throw, and because he missed it from picking, then you had to turn around and chase it from the boundary. They got 2 extras on there.
Yeah, and that 8 run over quickly turned to an 11 run over. So that could have been, that you would say has been a big over, much needed for Aziz Damani to try and get this partnership going, because I want to believe that perhaps this is the last recognized batting pair, because if I see Bilal Hassan padded up, Bilal Hassan is always itching and huffing and puffing, hoping to get a chance to bat, but without being disrespectful to him. This is the last recognized batting pair for Aziz Damani.
So Bilal loves to hit the ball.
Yes, he does.
He touches. If
he
comes
does
outside of leg and
he is.
It early.
Ismail,
mark it into the
having had quite a number of interactions with him, he fancies his batting. He does rate his batting very highly. He's one of those
bowler does it.
Exactly.
Every bowler will argue that he's a good, he could bat well. You know.
Yeah, but the left arm orthodox continues to operate from, you would say, from the Ginger Road end. He's bowled handsomely well. He's picked up one scalp, but he's managed to keep the runs quiet. Aziz Damani is seeming to get this partnership going, and perhaps this might be the match-changing inning or match-changing phase of this particular game. Aziz Damani managed to put together a decent partnership in good time to give themselves a chance to try and go very, very big at the back end of this inning.
Could be a miss hit there from Celylon, but goes safe, because whatever you do, you can't have a fielder there. You're bound to get a run off anything that comes. This should be a big shot for Saudi Islam, whatever way he sees it. If Aziz Damani are going to get a big score, needs to go after this one. Time for change in the commentary box. Dennis Musali, one of the tallest wicket keepers. They are never tall. And Innocent Indaula there. Talks a ICC commentator.
Thank you, Ismail and Davis. We surely enjoyed your chat, but as is right now, Aziz Damani has recovered, you would say has recovered a bit in this game, Innocent, because at a certain time they were 85 for 6, and in a bit of a spot of a bother, they had runs on board, but they were losing wickets at a very fast rate. And right now, Saudi Islam has been able to steady the ship with Cricket Cranes wicketkeeper Freda Chalam. Good goings for them here. You feel if they get a total of about 150, could be enough for them to be able to defend their T20 crown.
For me, the standout point here is that well, Damani started like a house on fire, getting the runs to flow very quickly. Early on, they were 44 for 1 after 5 overs. They were moving at almost 9, but the flurry of wickets that fell thereafter set them back. With Deus Muhumuza on a hat-trick ball at one time in the match, you've got to feel that it's now the tactics going into the back end of this first innings are going to count for Celylon Lions, especially because for me, Celylon Lions come into this one, not necessarily, but well, literally they are the underdogs. So they have a monkey on their back. They have not been able to win these crucial knockout matches. Today they got over the line. They got over the line with beating a big challengers side in the morning at Lugogo, getting challengers to score only 96 after setting 126 in 13 overs. I thought Celylon outdid themselves. I don't want them to be thinking that this is a bonus for them. I need them to start thinking that they're in a final to win it, because they could be thinking, since we won the semi-final for the first time in a long while, we can as well go home and make a party, because all we can as well go home and we can as well give a call to our patron Velopile Kananathan to send the beers in already. Yeah.
Interesting. Innocent Ndaula today, I think, is having divided loyalty, because the two teams are all very close to his heart. I don't know, he must be one of those who are thinking, if it is betting, I'm sure he has put on X, because whichever way it goes, he will be a happy man at the end of the day.
A very good bowler and a brave one. Hasitha Dilhara. He's not afraid to give the ball some air. He's trying to give it a trick as well. Saudi Islam playing in a strange or unfamiliar role for his club, where he's also one of the leaders in the side. He's been running very hard between the wickets since he walked into bat, and it's manifested by that single or that double is just completed, because the innings Saudi Islam is playing there. It's a beautiful little cameo, 23 from 22, with just that 6, and that 6 being a gift from the captain and the boss of Celylon, Ruan Jaratne, who must get his tactics right at the back end of this innings, because a lot of loose bowling will cost the team. They have Aziz Damani in a spot of bother, but Aziz Damani know how to get out of such slows. They've done it over and over. They have a lot of X-factor players in their side, and they'll be banking on that. Well, that's the end of over number 15. The score is 109 for 6.
5 more overs. I do not know how many more that Aziz Damani can get, but whichever run they add on from here on up to until the 20th over, you feel will only be bonus runs for them to be able to win the game comfortably. So therefore, Celylon Lions need to be very, very, very disciplined with their bowling at the back end of the innings to make sure that Celylon Lion doesn't go away from them and get to put on a lot of runs. But there hasn't been a lot of domestic cricket, and this surely should be this is going to be the first tournament for local clubs since 2019. Innocent.
There was some cricket before the 42-day lockdown. Hence the reason we are here. Ruan gives himself a chance to roll over his arm for another over, and it starts with some tight stuff. The batsmen look like they have no way to go about him but just to go gung-ho, because they feel he's the weak link in the side. He's bowling some leg spin, and that is gone all the way. Again, muscled out of the park into the parking yard. Dennis, I hope your Range Rover is still intact. It's not been a...
At least I'm sure my border guy in Bokoto is safe. He won't get any injuries. But as is right now, from the first 2 balls that Ruan bowled to Sawood, it was very clear that they've picked him out and they want to take him on. So they're not going to they are not going to be very kind to him. They are going to make sure they come after him. Especially, I'm sure even losing a wicket to Ruan will not be a problem. The legend of cricket cranes, Charles Waiswa. Charles Waiswa and also of Aziz Damani bowled a very, very good spell in that semi-final against Wanderers. And the future golfer, well, he says he's handicap 18. I don't understand the golf language very well. But we are very glad to have you here. Charles, how is the game for you so far?
Thank you, Dennis. What? Oh my God. What? Smoked out of the park. How are you, Dennis?
How Charles Waiswa, as we can see that Ruan is still being taken on by Achelam and Sawood Islam. They are making sure they don't give him a chance to settle. But Charles, talking about Aziz Damani, how important is this game for you as a team, especially that we haven't had anyway a lot of club cricket over the last 1 or 2 years due to COVID?
Very, very, very important game for Aziz Damani. We've not had any action for the last 2 years, so I mean, would like to end on a note this season. We've literally played like maybe probably 10 games, or less than 10 games this year. So I mean, our guys have been hungry to play and all that. So we would want to end on a high as the year ends.
Someone would want to know how does everyone stay happy in such a very, very star-studded lineup? You're more or less like Man City. Who makes sure that everyone is happy and someone doesn't feel like they've sat out for quite some time?
At Man City, Pep Guardiola makes sure everyone is happy. So I mean, we are happy. We one family. So I mean, whoever takes the field on a given day, whoever makes the 11, the rest of the guys will look to support the guys that are taking the field. For us, it's a family. So we back each other, we support each other, we love each other. So it doesn't matter whether I'm playing or not, as long as the team wins at the end of the day. That's how we see it at Aziz Damani.
Most definitely. Feda Chelam is lucky that will carry over the head of Colin Zabong. Looked like he had mistimed it, but is fortunate enough to make sure that picks up another 6. Damani coming hard at the back end of the innings, and you feel that they are putting their foot on the gas right now, whether it is in the corners or on the straight. They are making sure that they are going hard, and they are looking at putting a very big total. 150 could be very, very big, difficult for Celylon to be able to win, but we'll see how it goes. Charles Wise, so how soon will the fans see you in that Cricket Cranes jersey again?
Sally Dennis, can you behave yourself? I mean, we are talking about league cricket here. I don't know how you're mixing league cricket with national team cricket. Take it easy. Only time will tell. But Aziz Damani is sailing on nicely here after 16 overs. I think I'm now looking at the back end of the innings where you'll need to step up the run rate. So probably 160, 170 on the cards for us would be a good score to defend.
Do you think it would be enough, 150? Or is it enough against Ceylon Lions, who could have 1 or 2 players who could come hard against you? And would you be in the morning, apart from yourself, you didn't bowl a lot of pace bowlers. Are you focused on using spin? Would that be the tactic as well?
Having played on this same wicket in the morning, so we know how the wicket is going to play. We've been here. This is our second game on this track today. So we've been relying so much on our spinners, and we believe they're the best spinners that the nation has to offer. So we'll strike with the spinners. Looking at Celylon, their batting setup. Probably if we can get maybe 2 or 3 earlier on in the power play, we will have them on the back foot, and we'll look to capitalize on that.
Celylon Lions put you a bit on the pump early on, 85 for 5. What was the mood in the dressing room? Was there a bit of worry that today might not be the day and things could not go your way?
Of course, the worry will always be there when you're 85 for 5 inside 10 overs. We didn't start so well. Some very good bowling from Deus earlier on, picking up 2 crucial wickets in his first over. That was very, very magical. But as a team, we've always had a plan that we play to. So I mean, we look to keep our wickets up until the last 4-5 overs, and then we can unleash the launch pad. So yeah, they bowled well in the first probably 10 overs. Credit to them. So we respected that. By the end of the day, we have a plan that we use, and we look to nudge it around, pick a boundary, pick a single, and all that, and look to stay on the wicket. So for now, where we stand, we are still in safe hands. We still have a few wickets remaining, so we can use those to strike at the end of the first innings.
Very good start between the wickets there. Saud Islam and Fred Achelam mixing up the boundary scoring with running very well between the wickets to make sure that the bowlers don't settle. Only 3 more overs left in this game, and Damani right now is cruising.
That was a very beautiful cameo from the left-hander, Charles Waiswa, left armer. I know when the games go on, Charles doesn't like to sit with the rest of the players. He's been sitting somewhere with the fans. And Charles, when a couple of wickets fall, he moves slowly towards the dugout, the dressing room, because he knows it is time to launch a few golf shots. We saw him, Charles Waiswa, one of the heroes and villains of the national team. When we lost by 1 run to Kenya in 2019 at Lugogo, he got the fans up on their feet with a big hit to the court number 6. And then him failing to read the signal from the non-strikers end when Razat Alisha called him for a quick one. He's been there, Charles Waiswa, from 2004. Playing intercontinental cricket against Namibia and Lugogo, him and Isanez Emmanuel opening the bowling as 16-year-olds in Makerere College and Ginger Says respectively. And then 18 years on, the man is still donning that shirt of the Cricket Cranes. From wearing shirt number 16 of Mackay Antony, who was his early days hero, to 56 of Scott Styris of New Zealand. Now we see him wearing 00. Actually, it's 01, shirt number 1, because he thinks he's the best in the business. He wants to be the leader of the pack with the ball. That is Charles Wiseau for you. We will see him a lot more when the bowling comes with the bat. He's not a rabbit with the bat in hand, but maybe he can mash out a few ones if they are into the driving range zone, as a golfer who claims his handicap 18.
That must be a paid advert from Makerere College Old Boys Association, because these two lads are both from Makerere College. But back to the game, Deus Muhums are back into the attack, and I'm sure there are a couple of overs left for Ivan Baidu and David Wawire, but maybe they'll come back a little bit late. Already 140 on board, with a couple more deliveries left in this match. So I'd like to know, why do most cricketers actually play golf?
Cricketers are easy, find it very easy to play golf, because if you can hit a moving ball, which is a cricket ball, then how about the one that is stationary? It's much easier to hit and direct. So you've seen many of the cricketers actually finding golf as their second home, because even at the golf club, then the drinks are cheaper. Members zones. There goes. Chance for a catch. The conviction is not there from the man on the ropes. Fred Achelam playing some baseball shots. We know his baseball history and background, having played baseball for the national underage teams. He's already muscled out a couple of sixes, 2 of them. And he's showing everybody that as well as he has not gotten a chance to bat so much for the national team, he's very, very handy batsman. And lately, he's added a lot of style to his wicket keeping.
James Bamley, unconvinced by that appeal from Deus Muhumza. Very loud one, took over 30 seconds making noise. But this time, James Bamley doesn't raise his finger. Deus has already picked up 3 wickets and all have been LBs. Bro is going straight, so much straight. And most times when he hits your pad, he must be thinking he's in business. We saw Aziz Patel yesterday picking up 10 wickets. And in that test match, New Zealand against India, phenomenal feat. Innocent, you're a left-handed bowler yourself, but I don't know what your best numbers are. You've ever been able to pick up a 10-4.
10-4 still stays in my dream. It's in the fantasy world. But I can tell you my best bowling figures are 7 for 57 against this Damani side. I was lucky in my career. One of my dreams to pick up the wicket of Steve Tikolo was among those 7. So I feel very happy picking up people like Riyazat Alisha, Steve Tikolo, Brian Masaba, the skipper.
Charles Wiseau tells me he's been able to pick up 10 wickets in one single game.
I don't know which game that was. I'm still looking through the scorebooks. And in Ugandan cricket, I know it's only Kenneth Kamyuka that has picked up 10 in an innings twice. Yes, 9 for 26, 9 for 26, yes. 9 for 26. They got 26. 9 for 26. I remember Damani.
The next best figures in local cricket, not international. Charles Waiswa, confirming to us, has picked up 9 for 15 for Tornado against Patida in Entebbe.
Those figures there in Entebbe, you know very well the Entebbe wicket is one that gives palpable assistance to the bowlers. 18 overs already gone here, 142 for 6. Charles West, so how many do you think is enough for this power-packed and star-studded Damani side to that they will be comfortable to defend against an emerging crop of players in Celylon that have a few stars but a couple of guys that are hungry to show the world that they are ready to deliver. You say 170, and I looked at the bowling figures, particularly Ruwan Jaratne, 26 in 2 overs, could be the game changer there for you guys if he gives himself another over, which is least likely because they're already only 11 balls left in the innings. So if you need 170, you need another 28 runs from 11 balls. Very much possible. There's a couple of hits out of the park. That is hit very hard from Saud Islam, guiding it all the way to the mid-wicket, or cow corner, how local cricketers like to call that area. Saud Islam playing in an unfamiliar role than he plays for the national team, 38 of 35. He's given this innings a lot of guidance with a controlled aggression. Charles, is 170 possible? You think you guys can get 27 runs from 9 balls? Cut very hard, cut in no man's land. That races down to the point boundary. Welcome runs for Saud Islam, but most importantly for Aziz Damani. Quickly, Charles Wise, I want a quick comment for you on Baidu. A left-arm bowler like you, many of these bowlers are lacking in the national setup left-armers. That's why maybe you've been around for ages. Tell us, what do you see in Baidu that maybe he needs to do to break through? Because he's been on the periphery. Ivan Baidu, not Timothy Remuka. These guys, what's lacking? Because you see, he's mixing it well. He's coming with the same action and able to bowl the slower ball. He's able to get some pace off. They try to get a couple there. Achelam will take a walk back, but that's all right. Just tell us a little bit about Baidu. What does he need to do? Plus this other crop, the Rumukas. You've seen these youngsters. What they need to do to break through into the big stage. That's one ball remaining in the over. 151 for 7. A very beautiful and big partnership between Fred Achelam and Saud Islam. 65 runs from 8 overs comes to an end. Achelam gets a rousing applause from the dugout because of that cameo of 33 from 21 balls. 2 fours and 2 meaty sixes. In is Frank Nsubuga. Of course, it's going to be one-way traffic. Frank will have a go. a few discussions going on there on the Celylon's dugout. The Celylon's looking very smart this afternoon, Charles. They're sporting a new kit. The new kit has already brought them some luck in the morning. They were able to win their first semi-final in a long haul, beating challengers, another side that is packed with a couple of Uganda A players and national team players. Do you think Celylons finish their final too early? Because they look like they are happy with whatever happens in the final, and they want to do well. And I'm happy that the captain has actually given the ball to Wawire, because Wawire must be bowling in these situations in a match. He must learn and know he's gone ready for 30 in his 3 overs. Make that 35, 36, 37 actually. That was a chance for a catch. They ran through for the 4th. So these runs, and the margins of victories in cricket, especially during cricket, always 2 runs. These runs the Celylon guys are giving out could hurt them very much. What would have been a catch? So the danger man is back on strike. 2 fours in 2 balls. He swings very hard. Ashraf Onsubuga, who is playing literally with only 9 fingers, lets that one slip through. There's a very energetic stop at the boundary, and Ivan Baidu chips in the strong left arm throw that traveled like a jet. Good stuff from Ivan, not to give another boundary. Ashraf Senkubuge needs to pump up himself to make sure he finishes on a high. When the buys count in the scorebook, they count to York Column as the wicket keeper. Already 12 extras Celylons have given to Damani. The call is 2. Frank Onsubuga will be coming back at whatever cost. 41 years of age. Frank Onsubuga Molondo Baresi tells you every inch that age is just a number. He goes hard. This will only be 1. Frank will get a chance to earn. That is the half century from Saud Islam, who continues to stake his claim that he's in the national team, not on anything else but statistics. Statistics are like hips. If you don't have them, you don't have them, and statistics count. So the chasing pack, chasing Saud, have had their chance today to play. They have not gotten many. Deus Muhammad will take this. He doesn't drop too many. When you interview Deus Muhammad as a journalist, he keeps telling us about that big catch he dropped of Rizwan Chima against Canada in Lugogo. He will never forget it. He says he didn't spend only a night, but he has. That is the end of the first innings. Charles Waiswa, you said 170. Aziz Damani get 164. Is it 6 runs short? Will you feel haunted by 6 runs? 1 shot away if you lose this match? Or you think this is a good enough score for Aziz Damani to take home and come back in the second innings and put their bodies on the line and fight? Some quick fire for you, Charles Waiswa, in this break. Charles Waiswa, tell us about your cricket career, having grown up with the cricket oval, part of your compound at home in Jinja. Tell us about your background and love of this game. How did you fall in love with this game, and at what age did you start playing cricket? "21 for you, 21 questions for you." Let me change the topic and the headline for this segment. 21 questions with Charles Waiswa. Let's go. Mutia. Magra, line and length. Lugogo. Uh, 21 questions with Charles Waiswa. Charles Waiswa, having grown up in Jinja with the cricket oval as part of your extended compound, tell us how you fell in love with the game. At what age did you hold a bat? And who really attracted you to the game? Let's go. 21 questions. Number 1 is done. At what age did you start playing the game? When you had a chance to watch TV, who was your earliest inspiration? Then take me through, where did you go to school? Which schools did you go to, and what accolades did you win across all the sports you managed to play? How lucky were you? You started from junior stage, you didn't go to primary. Please. And who's been your best captain you've played under? It's okay. You can say me, since I've also captained you in Jinja before. You talking about Keith Legacy reminds me of the time he captained. I was lucky to play under him and in the under-19 team. Keith Legacy, very strict, but a very jovial man off the ground if you do what he wants you to do. Especially as a bowler, he used to go hard on the bowlers with the field settings. He used to give very tough, especially for me as a spinner. But talking Keith gives me a little goosebumps because those are the figures we need to see around the game. And we don't see them anymore, but we know they are alive and kicking somewhere. And hopefully, if Keith, you're listening, please show up. Show up. You could play a role. a mental role. The wicket-keeping department misses you. You could spring out a few more talents. We've seen Ashraf Senkubuge does well. Achelam has made the sport his. He's added some style to the grit. And well, tell me, what's your biggest accolade you've won in your career, in your own words? Now with very many people watching this game, both here at the Oval in Chambogo and on the line and listening to you, Charles. Someone here tells me, Rita Tinker online says, you as a player, give a good rallying call out there to the sponsors to come and support this game, because the national team has done well. They have promoted themselves with positive results. What can you tell the sponsors? What do you think the Ghana State needs from these sponsors, and how can they actually get them from a player's view? Because the needs sometimes outweigh the resources. But what is crucial for the national team right now, or the national team setup, because the under-19s have gone to the World Cup. The senior side are going to the Globals for the first time in 8 years. And well, the women, the Victoria Pearls, you know, they were only 2 years ago, they were the queens of Africa. So, your rallying cry to the sponsors there listening. That's a very good question from Rita Tinker, who's also a board member, by the way. Changing commentary here to start the innings for you will be the capable Davis Karashani, fresh from Kigali, Rwanda, where he was on the mic for the ICC Africa Sub-Regional Qualifiers. Unfortunate to be cut short in his first stint as an ICC commentator, thanks to a big exam he has to write as a man chasing many dreams.
Yeah, but Padia, well, it's good to be back in the commentary box. But you asked Charles a very important question about perhaps his best or most memorable accolade, and he picked one I didn't think he would go for. I remember him putting in a massive spell against Kenya in a T20 game. That game was played at the Gymkhana Oval, where, if I'm not mistaken, he managed to rip the Kenyan top order apart, and he picked up 4 scalps, including, I think, Steve Tikolo. At that time, Tanmay Mishra. He managed to pick up the Obuya brothers. For me, that perhaps is one of my most memorable spells and man-of-match performances that Charles Weiss was managed to put together when he's wearing that Uganda Cricket Cranes yellow jersey.
I think you guys are actually talking about the same spell. It's the same spell he talked about, because he said Bangladesh and Pakistan had come to town, and Davis, we are underway, and the story never gets old. New day, same script, same old story. It is Frank Nsobuga Mulondo to open the bowling from the university end for Aziz Damani.
Well, clearly one of the most predictable things in life, really, besides taxes and death. You're always sure that Frank Nsobuga will open the bowling for whichever team he does play for. And as day follows night, Frank Nsobuga is opening the bowling for Aziz Damani in their defense of 165 runs.
Alex Auma Obanda starts with a single. The easiest lesson taught in a batting school is always get off the mark. Have a feel of the ball. Get the scoreboard ticking. You can't say it any better. The safest place to be is the non-striker's end.
Yeah, without a doubt. But for me, Padilla, Innocent, I expect an interesting challenge. It's a good matchup. Alex Obanda up against Frank Nsobuga. These are guys that have played and tussled against each other for over a decade. So these are familiar foes. They're playing, wearing different jerseys. They're not wearing their national colors, but they're up against, they're playing for clubs, with both clubs looking to pick up silverware with their only tournament. You would say that the clubs have had in Uganda this particular season.
That is Robinson Obuya getting off the mark as well with a powerful on drive, just leaping a little bit on his back leg and forcefully powering it there. There is protection. 2 runs on board. You don't want to be giving so many dot balls. They will create pressure in the power play, and that's when Frank is very dangerous, when a couple of dot balls have been bowled.
Well, speaking for quite a number of fans that have gathered here to watch this particular fixture, they'll be hoping that Alex Obanda gets to bat for quite some time, as we do know that if he does bat for quite some time, this game can easily get very, very interesting, with Celylon trying to push to try and pick up their first T20 trophy. Alex Obanda goes right over Frank Nsobuga's head, hits that straight, but finds a very, very formidable Brian Masaba. Even with the kind of skill that he does have, he's not able to keep that in, and that settles down the ground for 4 runs.
Brian Masaba. Talking about Brian Masaba. Early on in his career, many people thinking he's only getting into the national team because of his fielding abilities. He's outgrown that, become a man who can bowl for you leg spin, medium pace, a jack of all trades. Hopefully he's a master of some.
Yeah, Padilla, I can assure you I was equally brought into that debate at one time. I thought that I only wanted Brian to be in the side simply because of his fielding abilities, but I can be on record to state to you that Brian has one of the best heads on his shoulders, and I always felt that it was just a matter of time for him to find his mojo, not just with his medium pace. People forget that Brian Masaba actually, when he made his debut, again in Uganda, that was in Uganda in that tournament where Uganda managed to become Africa champions, T20 champions. Brian bowled some very, very important spells, 4 over spells in that tournament to actually make sure that Uganda managed to walk away from that tournament as winners.
1 over gone, 6 runs on board. It is Obuya and Obanda out there in the middle. 1 Ugandan, 1 Kenyan to do the fighting for Celylon Lions, who are the only club that have a cricket ground in Kamengo. It's up and running, I can tell you. Been there. Beautiful facility. Uganda will host some games there in just the near future. I am very, very sure about this. But from the estate end, Old Ginger Road end, whichever you want to call it, it is Hassan Bilal.
Balls are a bit too straight. Robinson Obuya beaten by pace. Bilal Hassan a shed quicker than perhaps Robinson Obuya might be used to, and doesn't manage to put that down to the mid-wicket, not just mid-wicket, but that could have been easily glanced down to fine leg for a boundary. But Bilal Hassan starts off his spell with a dot ball.
Talking about Bilal Hassan, we saw him drop from being a new ball bowler for the national team to one who comes in as a second change bowler because of his prowess with the trickery and artistry he has with swinging the ball, reversing it. Do you think that's where he's best suited?
Innocent, you and I have played cricket for quite some time. We obviously know that in a T20 over game, there's not enough time for the ball to suffer a lot of damage and wear and tear for you to be able to get reverse swing. But without a doubt, the skill set that Bilal Hassan comes into this side, not just the Damani side, but the Uganda side with is massive. He does have the ability to bowl those very fine and quick yorkers. But for me, generally, to be honest with you, I felt the area of concern for me for Bilal Hassan is the areas that he has been hitting. I think he's been bowling a bit too short or too full, and that has allowed the batters to get under him. And he's conceded a lot more runs than the quality that he does have. You would say he should be bowling much better, conceding fewer runs and picking up a lot more wickets. So for me, I would be feeling that if you can get that area going, if you can be able to bowl the ball into the wicket, try and bowl that back of a length deliver a lot more often, I feel he does have the pace to trouble quite a number of batters.
And he's proving exactly that. He's catching Obuya more than 2 seconds late. If to a train or even a locomotive in Uganda, in that particular case, Obuya will be very, very late.
You get a feel for Obuya. Obuya is playing perhaps a day later than the ball gets past his bat. Just having a look at how Obuya is struggling to pick that up. It would have been very good to see, or interesting to see, if the Damani captain perhaps got a bit more attacking and added a slip fielder in that position. Clearly, Obuya is struggling with the pace of Bilal Hassan.
Bilal Hassan, coming all the way from 30-yard mark, is bubbly and has a spring in his step. That will be a wide. Freebies, the first run Bilal is conceding in his spell and in this particular over. 7 will be the new score. Scoring rate and required rate is 8.5 runs per over.
Yeah, obviously the Celylon need to find of getting going. But again, that just takes that particular delivery going for wide. Takes me back to what I just said. I felt Bilal Hassan needs to find a way of getting his line and his radar spot on, because even when he's on top against a struggling Obuya, he somehow found a way to spray that wide. Look at how much Obuya is struggling with that, picking up. He's being beaten by pace. I would really like to see a slip fielder put into that attacking position to give Bilal Hassan a chance of picking up, nicking off a wicket early on in this inning.
I'm talking about Obuya. Obuya must be casting the lockdown, because just the other day in 2019, Obuya was on the national team. He had a small contract going on there. He was on the trip to Chikli and Saurashtra in Mumbai at the Safale. But since the lockdown, we've not seen anything of Obuya. Maybe he's short of games. And now Obuya must be casting the lockdown and the COVID pandemic. He gets one up and above. Hit over Wazim Bat. Riyazat Ali chases. Riyazat Ali will be second in that race to the ropes. Boundary to end the over. An over that looked like would go for no run goes for 5. It is 11 for no loss after 2 overs.
Obuya Robinson putting on a show there and just showing us, reminding the whole world of the kind of quality that he does possess. He's one that he does have the skill to bat. Having played against him and with him, I liked the fact that he seemed to be one of those that has a very, very strong head on his shoulders. He seems to believe in his abilities as a batter. So I'll be hoping that he can find some game time, not just with Celylon, but also get back in the Uganda A side. But with that boundary to end the over, brings Frank Subuga back into the attack. He's bowling from the university end. And as day follows night, he starts off with a dot ball.
That is vintage Alex Auma Obanda peppering the side screen. Is hit that to the university lecture rooms. 6 more runs for Celylon Lions, who will need many more of these in this particular power play, because the power play is all about batting and it's all about runs. Beautiful shot, Davis. I know your V used to be the other end, but that is the perfect V for cricket.
Well, without getting into which part of the V that I used to operate in, for me that was a fantastic shot from Alex Obanda. Continues to show the kind of form that he put on display down in Rwanda. And he goes yet again, goes big, this time manages to find the gap. No need for a gap as that sails right over the rope for the second maximum of this particular over. 6 more runs to Alex Obanda and Celylon's total.
Alex Obanda, what a reputation he's got. Kenya ignoring him for a little less like 2 years. And once Alex Obanda whispered it to the Kenyans that he could be playing for Uganda since he stays and works in Uganda, the Kenyans gave him a chance. And what a way to reintroduce or to announce his second coming. It is blasphemy to talk about Jesus, but I tell you, his second coming has been like Jesus, scoring a century in Rwanda there and finishing as the best batter. Alex Obanda is no mean man. He's extraordinary stuff. He's made of big things.
Dennis, I can assure you, Innocent, having played against Alex Obanda, I think ever since we were about 14 years, played against him for close to 15 years, he's one of those guys that you'll always liked to see the back of his shot because he could do a lot of damage to your bowling as a unit. But allow me use this opportunity, Innocent. Perhaps could you quickly compare him to maybe Roger Mukasa? That's one he's been compared to for a very long time. Could we be hoping that Roger Mukasa could have a second kind of chance at the cherry of national team cricket and do exactly what Alex Obanda has done with the opportunity for Kenya?
It is 24 for no loss after 3 overs. Aziz Damani getting to the required rate thanks to that big over from Alex Obanda. But fortune favors the brave. And the onus is on Roger Mukasa Galiwango to actually man up, put his hand up, shoulder responsibility, and come out here and show us what Roger Mukasa can do. We need to see Roger Mukasa doing Roger Mukasa things.
But I really think for me he's one of those that I feel he's gotten the bitter end of the stick, the short end of the stick. I feel he because of the quality and the talent that he does have, and because he held Ugandan batting for far too long, I feel like his threshold of his measure is way too high compared to all the other batters. That when he even scores 100 runs, just like any other person that gets 100 runs, they feel that he will always come second fiddle in that because they feel with the amount of talent that he does have, he should be outscoring the rest by a country mile.
When you look at Roger Mukasa's dismissals over the years, he is that type of batsman who is not beaten by the bowling, but he's gifted his wicket to the opposition. That is his fault. And he's been faulted as well for playing in 2 gears. He's neither going gung-ho, he's neither staying solid. Many people actually coming out to say Roger Mukasa must decide either to shed some skin, play as a batsman who plays the last inning, or go back to his natural way, which is going big or going home right from the onset.
Innocent, for me yet again, that just goes back to my point that his measure, the weight of his measurement is way different from the rest of the batters. But anyway, back into this particular picture, the final itself, Bilal Hassan is getting another opportunity to bowl to Robinson. He'll be hoping that he'll try and do a repair job, considering the last over went for quite a number of runs, 12 runs in that particular over for Frank Kusubga. Certainly, I know we're not used to seeing from Frank Kusubga, but Bilal Hassan needs to bowl in the much-needed partnership and ensure that he goes for no runs in this particular over. Do a repair job to try and get Aziz Damani back into this particular game.
Damani is starting well. Many teams actually in T20 cricket forgetting the power play because that's when the best bowlers are used by all the teams. Many teams trying to rely on their power hitters lately. They don't care if they are 50 for no loss in 10 overs. They know they can get 150, 170, going just at 11 and over. That is 2 hits. That's how the West Indies like to think, but that was broken up by the better bowling sides in the World Cup. We saw West Indies scrambling against England. So is that the way to go? Take it easy.
Innocent, I'm glad that you brought that up. I'll clearly let you know that I am on the totally opposite line of thought. I do not believe you have the luxury to be 50 in, say, perhaps 12 overs and look to simply bash another 100 runs of 8 overs. Teams, I think, have gotten smarter how they bowl at the back end of the inning. So it's absolutely important that the 120 balls that you do get to face, I'm one of those that believes you need to get out of the blocks pretty quickly and put the pressure onto the opposition. We've seen just how a team, for me, that doesn't do that well, of course, because they don't bowl equally well. For me, Afghanistan, they come out of the blocks pretty quickly. You look at how Australia did in the World Cup itself. I feel that is the way, that's the modern brand of T20 cricket. Frank and Sobga is under that one, but that is a foot or two away from him. 10 years down the road, Frank Sobga perhaps would have thrown himself at that and taken yet another blinder.
He knows very well where his bread is buttered. Frank Sobga's cash cow is his body. He doesn't have very nimble feet like he used to have. That was always going to be very far away from him. He played it on the up, Alex, trying to get bat on it, going for some timing rather than power. That's the right thing to do. Very good slow ball right there from Billy. National team teammates call him Billy Blanks after that big movie, that big Hollywood actor. And today he needs to bring out the knockout punch or kick from Billy Blanks, the moniker he goes by. If Damani are to take control of these things, they don't want to leave it too late. There's a lot of batting to be seen in this Celylon Lions batting lineup. We very well know what Deus Muhumuza can do when everybody thinks the last kick of the dying horse is being seen. That will never be out in anyone's books. Just a clip of the pads.
Yet again, shot of pace too quick for Obuya. You want to think that perhaps Alex Obanda or another batter would have made use of that and tried to simply flick that down to fine leg. But well as that dot ball brings an end to the fourth over. Celylon are at 30 for no loss. They will feel they will be happy with this kind of start, and I'll be hoping that Alex Obanda continues to stay on the wicket to give Celylon a chance. But without a doubt, we must thank UCA for putting together this tournament. Not just that, but the fans that have come out here at the Chambogo Oval. Fortunately, they seem to be at least following the SOPs and ensuring that they stay alive to the fact that COVID-19 still is around us. It's still looming around us, but the crowd is reasonably good. Good crowd out here at the Chambogo Kidovo. Yet to be hoping to try and watch a very good game of the T20 final between Aziz Damani and Celylon Lions.
The Chambogo, a very big and beautiful spectacle of sorts, offers a good scenery. Everyone says that Chambogo having an English sort of like county setting. People are able to bring in their portable chairs, have a seat, enjoy a good Sunday of cricket, sip some cocktails after, of course, attending services in their respective houses of prayer. And because Sundays are for cricket, in the attack is Mr. Henry Senyondo Kakoza. Henry Senyondo, left arm. He picked that big wicket over Frank and so over Alex Obanda in that do-or-die game for the global qualifiers. Commentator's curse. I almost jinxed the man. The least I say about him, the better.
Alex Obanda continues to struggle, you would say, against the left-arm spin. For me, this is a good matchup. Right-hand batter up against a left-arm orthodox spinner. A quality left-arm orthodox spinner, taking the ball away from Alex Obanda. Without a doubt, he will ask some questions of Alex's technique. But Henry Senyondo drops that a little bit short, gives Alex Obanda some width, and Alex Obanda manages to muscle that behind point to pick up 2 extra runs.
Alex Obanda looked like he was on the move. His shot playing it a little early, dissecting the 2 fielders, Simon Cesars and Wazimbat, starting at galley point and at point. They glance at each other. Alex goes, chance for a catch. Kenneth Waiswa takes a very beautiful catch on the ropes, jumping higher. They say white man can't jump. Kenneth Waiswa justifies that saying, leaping so high, clinging onto it and running just round the rope arc to complete a beauty of a catch. It is 30 for 1. Celylon Lions lose the danger man, the man who is supposed to get them across the line with just 30 runs on board. Very poor ball from Senyondo. But again, it is Senyondo that picks Alex Obanda in international cricket and on the local scene. Bad balls pick wickets for spinners.
Yeah, you gotta feel for Alex Obanda. That was such a short delivery. Alex Obanda could have hit that to City Square, the center of Kampala. But unfortunately didn't get the timing, and that went straight down the throat of a very intelligent Kenneth Waiswa. Showed a lot of cricketing awareness, understanding right where the boundary was, and he managed to take that, complete the catch, and stay within the boundary to ensure that Aziz Damani see the back of Alex, a very dangerous Alex Obanda, who was seeming to having started to get his groove going. But importantly, Innocent, with the dismissal of Alex Obanda, in walks the Uganda national cricket team vice captain Deus Muhomuza. He walks in at first drop.
That is a sign of the responsibility that has been levied on him. At number 3, he's bowled a gem of a spell in the first innings, and now he's got to do it all over again in the second innings. When you come to play sports, it's not like going to the office. Your job matters with the ball, with the bat. And since he's coming to this side, St. Leon's, a lot of responsibility has been thrown at him. And I'm very happy particularly because he was also elevated in the national team, having been a guy who came in and carried water for so many years, for a couple of years, like 3 years. And he gets to walk in, he knows the setup in and out. He's the best man all these young players can look at. After all, they also call him baby.
Well, yeah, thanks for a bit of that history about Deus Muhomuza. Of course, for me, he's one of those players that have literally grown from hips and bounds, that have now made a name for themselves. In my opinion, he's one of the very, very few Ugandan 3-in-1 cricketers, 3-dimensional cricketers. Very handy with both ball and bat, but electric in the field. And Celylon Lions have added extra responsibility on him and tasked him to come out and bat at first drop, a very important position in T20 cricket. Starts off with a sweep shot, you would say, doesn't get the connection that he was looking for. Hands on heads for Henry Senyondo. But that brings an end to that over. And after 5 overs, Celylon Lions are at 35. If my sight is right, 35 for the loss of 1 wicket. And there is a bowling change from the estate end. And this brings in the second of the very few 3-dimensional cricketers that Uganda does have. Riyazat Ali Shah, more than handy with the bat. Very, very good with the ball. And equally electric in the field. He will be up against Robinson Obuya, who is yet to really get out of the blocks. Perhaps a very good time for Riyazat Ali Shah to come and bowl. If he can find a way of stringing together quite a number of dot balls, that will pile pressure not just on Robinson, but also on Deus Muhomuza that has just walked in.
Riyazat Ali Shah, a young man with a reputation bigger than his body size. His name is actually bigger than him for me. The MVP from those Africa finals. He can do it with the ball. What he didn't do with the bat. Replacing Bilal Hassan. And they always told us as youngsters, you bowl in pairs. Senyondo picked a wicket there. Added pressure. Scoring rate fell. Now Riyazat Ali Shah comes in. and right on the money. It starts with a dot ball.
Beautiful shot there. What a flick. Robinson Obuya plays that elegantly. Picks up a boundary, much needed. I think his dot ball percentage was seeming to get out of control. But he needs to find over at least picking up the singles and rotate the strike. He's eating up a lot of strike. But fortunately for him, he's managed to get quite a bit of butt, sending that down into the valley at the Chambogo Cricket Oval.
Yes, that Alisha not entirely very pleased with the type of shot Robinson Obuya has offered. He has words with Saud Islam. Strategy time. Bilal Hassan too chips in a word to his national teammate. Let's see what type of lines Mr. Alisha, the African champion, can bowl. There's been a wanting area. We saw Bilal Hassan very fruitful from the balls he pitched on the off stump, outside off stump. He's also added an extra yard of pace.
Well, Innocent, just to keep perspective to the viewers out there, this tournament was played by 9 clubs. Started much earlier in the tournament, but of course came to a halt because of the pandemic, COVID pandemic. However, because things have gotten a bit better, UCA managed to put together the final round of this particular games. Managed to get in, I think, just a few group games that were left. Semi-finals were played this particular morning. One semi-final, challengers played against Celylon. Celylon managing to win that. Final is being played at the Chambogo Kidobo. In the morning fixture, Aziz Damani managed to trounce on Wanderers. And the top 2 teams out of the 9 that started the tournament are logging horns in this particular game right now, looking for honors.
Obuya has no answers to Alisha's deliveries after he was being found wanting on the offside. Anything on his leg is very powerful with these good wrists. They say blessings in disguise. Do you think the lockdown and the COVID pandemic has been a blessing to all sports, because we've gotten to see many more sports being played on TV, on live streams? You can catch this anywhere in the world. For the analysts out there.
Yeah, Innocent, that is a massive, massive point. Of course, the COVID pandemic brought in quite a number of challenges, but with those challenges, quite a number of phoenixes managed to rise from the dust, and opportunities presented themselves. Live stream in particular is one of those opportunities that has presented itself. A lot of these games now are being viewed from all over the world. But besides that, it's very good to see that a number of us, literally all of us, have managed to survive till now. And it's absolutely important for us to ensure that we keep that going and do anything, everything possible in our arms and in our reach to try and stay alive.
Talking about survival, Robinson Obuya looks like he's playing for survival with the scores on 37 for 1 and taking back the talk to survival. You two surviving, Davis, getting the big shot, a big debut for you in the Combs box, and the ICC looking at people like you who are former players and most importantly former captains. Because you bring the analytical bit, you are able to tell what a captain is telling a player on the field by just reading the moment on the ground, without you being like some of us who haven't played in the senior sides but always wish we are flies on the wall to know or get a chance to hear the tactics that are being discussed. We can tell the world through the Combs box. So Darren Sammy did a terrific job in the T20 World Cup, the former West Indian captain, 2-time World Cup winner. And you did a super nice job as well, Davis in Chigali.
To the viewers out there, do not think that I've given Innocent what they call wogos. at all. But besides that, to be honest with you, I think it was, for me, I found it, I enjoyed the opportunity. It was an interesting opportunity. To be honest with you, I found it a lot more taxing than I expected. A lot of homework needs to be done, a lot of research on the players. So I guess I was just a bit more lucky in the fact that I did have a bit of an insight about what normally teams will probably be looking to think or how to try to execute a couple of plans. But without a doubt, it was a massive opportunity that I did enjoy.
We play the game to enjoy. If you don't enjoy the game or enjoy anything you do around the game of cricket, the coaches tell you as a youngster, stay home. You must win, but first and foremost, ensure you are enjoying. It's important. Why would you do something you don't like?
Yeah, you're spot on there, Innocent. But back to the cricket here, the Chamber cricket over. Quick single there for Deus Mohamza. Manages to drive that straight to a waiting Riyazat Ali shot cover, who fumbled that, allowing Deus to pick up a single. And yet again, the dot ball percentage for Obuya continues to skyrocket. That will be an area of concern, not just for him, but that will put extra pressure on Deus Mohamza. It will mean that he'll need to score quite a number of runs off his blade, and that will only continue building pressure on the other Celylon batters that are yet to walk onto the wicket. So Obuya needs to find a way of at least rotating the strike.
There goes Obuya. Goes for Brock. He has no sweet timing of that particular delivery because it gets the outside edge of the bat. It goes to mid-wicket where the able and capable Frank Baresimo London Subuga is. It's just one run at most. Senyondo troubling the Celylon batters. Deus Muhumuza goes for power there, not timing.
Fantastic over there from Henry Senyondo. Boundaryless over simply means, by implication, that simply means that the run rate, the required run rate for Celylon continues to go in one direction, and that is upwards. So Deus Muhumuza and his partner Obuya will need to find a way of at least scoring 6 to 7 runs and over in this particular middle phase of this T20 fixture. Otherwise, they will be digging themselves into a very, very big and deep hole.
164 for 8 is what Aziz Damani said if you've just tuned in to watch this beautiful final between Celylon Lions and Aziz Damani, the defending champions. And the Celylon Lions are on 39 for 1 after 7. They need another 126 runs from 13 overs. That is 78 balls to be particular. They still have 9 wickets, but that required run rate going to 9.69. Are they in a spot of bother, Davis, or you think it's still controllable? 9 can be got with the resources they have in hand, the 9 wickets.
We are going for yet another hoik. Doesn't get any connection to that, but to be honest, you're Innocent. When the run rate starts getting into double figures, especially with quite a number of overs to go, that becomes a bit of a concern. And as I did mention earlier, the Chambogo cricket over at this particular time of the year is not as lightningly quick as we do know it to be. So it would mean that it is not a very easy ground to chase runs on at this particular time of the year. So the batters need to quickly find a way of rotating the strike to get 6, 7 runs and over to ensure that that required run rate does not continue to skyrocket pretty quickly. Back-to-back dot balls there from Riyazat Ali Shah. And the not welcome statistic for Celylon Lions is 2 more dot balls to Obuya's inning.
Obuya going through a vigil of an innings, I must say. He's got 11 from 24, striking it at 45. I tell you, the run rate from 9.6 already gone to 9.95. Every dot ball, this dot ball, if it happens on this particular delivery, well, the fielder stepped on the rope. The fans have something to say to the umpire. Umpire not interested because in cricket it's a gentleman's game, and the umpire relies entirely on the fielder's signal to call anything. 1 run, Obuya gets off strike on the 3rd ball of the over. He leaves those to the mountain to climb because they don't need just singles now. They need a boundary every over.
Fantastic stuff for me from Riyazat Ali Shah. Yet another dot ball. But interestingly about that particular dot ball for me, I feel that Riyazat Ali Shah is bowling those deliveries, is bowling into the wicket. That is the kind of length that has made its way into modern T20 cricket. Bowlers have been taught to bowl into the wicket. They seem to be moving away from the conservative Yorkerish kind of length. So Riyazat Ali Shah managed to employ that modern tactic to ensure that Deus Mumza does not get the much needed boundary that he and Celylon do require.
Powerfully hit that young man, Kenneth Waiswa. Everybody saying he is the future of Ugandan cricket. The talent in the team keeps him on the bench sometimes. But I tell you, every time Kenneth has had a chance to walk out there in the middle, is one guy who you can bank your money on, get it off the fence, and put it on him. Is the man who gets the team across the line. We saw how he rebuilt this innings in particular in the first innings. His work in the field has been very visible. The stop was athletic. The catch was superhuman. And if he gets a chance to bowl, I tell you, he will do more of the same.
Wide delivery from Riyazat Ali Shah, but the batters, Deus Mumza and Obuya, managed to scamper through for a single. But yeah, innocent, really. I cannot add any more superlatives about Kenneth Waiswa. I just feel he's one of those that needs to quickly utilize his opportunities. They may come far and few in between, but when the opportunity does arise, he needs to be one of those that takes that opportunity serious and utilizes it. But there's no debate about his talent. He's again one of those good all-rounders. Just needs to keep his body in shape, and he'll be one to play for Uganda for at least 10 years.
That line is a very good line to bowl, but once you stray away a little bit, just because normally hit at the white line, the umpires will always be happy to spread their arms wide.
Wouldn't you be tempted to think that might be a bit of a dangerous delivery to bowl, especially to Deus Muhammad, a batter that thrives off any width? He loves to use his hands and make as much as much as he can of wide bowling. Don't you think that would be a bit dangerous for Riyazat Ali Shah?
Deus Muhammad, the stance was waiting for another one of the same length. Shah brings it down in the middle. Wise bowling from two guys who are doing it currently the positive way for the cricket cranes. And Deus Muhammad keeps it out, plays sensible cricket, gives himself a chance to see another delivery in the next over.
Well, I'm interested in seeing what the required run rate is after that particular over, but to be honest with you, Innocent, the fact that yet another, in my opinion, a legend of the Ugandan cricket for me, one that appears in my all-time best 11 that I played with for Uganda for me, Tabi Dennis, has made his way to the Chambogo Oval. He's walked through this ground at this particular stage. He is not too far from the commentary box. He's one of those that bowled lightningly quick. He was a whole-hearted fast bowler. He always wore his hat on his sleeves. Unfortunately for him, he managed and unfortunately picked up an injury, back injury that literally brought an end to his what could have been a very, very formidable international career. So for me, salutes to him, and I can't thank him for his service enough.
The story of pace bowlers. The story of pace bowlers all over the world. Injuries, back injuries.
Let's not get into the debate of what he was doing with his back, but we thank him for his service.
Tabi Dennis, always lively. I can't forget one precious spell he bowled in a 4-day game against the UAE in Dubai. Abu Dhabi to be exact.
Tabi Dennis is one of 3 Ugandans that appeared on that team. The combined team of the best players in the Intercontinental Cup Shield So by the time Tabby Dennis appeared on that list, that goes to show you the kind of performances that he did put in for Uganda. If I'm not mistaken, I think the other players that made that list, I think, were Lawrence Sematimba, and if I'm not mistaken, Franco Sobuga. Robinson Obuya has had too much of a look, and this time manages to get on one knee and somehow manages to muscle that down to the screen for a much-needed maximum.
The 100 had crept into 10.3. Obuya's shot could bring it back to 10.
Interestingly, Innocent, Obuya has scored a total of 18 runs. And of the 18 runs he's scored so far, he's managed to score a 6 and 2 boundaries. By implication, that simply means out of the 18, 14 have been out of boundaries. So that gives you an indication about the dot ball percentage that he has picked up and will be an area of concern for him going forward.
They say in Luganda, Owamany Takera. Maybe he can compensate, but for me, I believe there's nothing like compensation in cricket. Once you played out dot balls, you never catch up. In a loose, quick, direct translation, you can say of his power doesn't alley. But for me, I still believe the West Indies preached that when they won the World Cups. But after teams found them out, thanks to their being T20 exponents and playing in many leagues over the world, people have smoked them out and they have showed them that this game can be thought and we can have a way around your madness.
But you know, Innocent, again, just to speak to that particular point, there's another school of thought that says that the West Indies way of playing T20 cricket, their approach to T20 cricket is the actual way that T20 cricket needs to be approached. However, for West Indies, the aspect that they did forget going to the World Cup, they forgot that the UAE is the hardest place to consistently score sixes. So the other school of thought is that if they had played the World Cup in any other place besides the UAE, the West Indies would have been successful.
Success couldn't come their way. They couldn't make it 3 in a row. But Aziz Damani could be making it 3 in a row here in the National 2020 Championship because they play their cricket with the hunger of a rookie, with the thirst of a teenager on his first taste of scotch. These guys, Damani, have a winning mentality, which I believe is very much likable, and many teams should adapt to. Always go out there and win. It doesn't matter if you're playing a girls under 9 side and you Aziz Damani with senior players on the bench. You've got to go out there and grit.
Well, there is a bowling change from the estate end. Riyazat Ali Shah, after having bowled 2 very, very good overs, takes a break, and Franco Sobuga, the off spinner, bowls on this end. Fortunately, unlike him, starts with a wide delivery. Well, interestingly, I was trying to have a look at which wickets we are playing on to talk about what Deus Muhumuza is trying to do right now. And impressively for me, for Aziz Damani, is they have bowled Franco Sobuga from the right end, because we were playing on the last wicket, the nearest wicket to the pavilion this side. So that simply means the right-handers will be hitting to the longer end of the field. But fortunately, this time, Deus Muhumuza managed to sweep that fine enough behind a waiting Roger Mukasa at deep square leg. This will be an interesting matchup because the run rate is already in double figures. So the task for Deus Muhumuza and Obuya is they need to get at least 2 boundaries in each particular over to give Celylon a chance.
The DJ playing there sounds of Mudra Divira, one of the best artists. That song there, Monster Hit Muyayu, and Deus Muhumuza is trying to play like that loose cat that has the proverbial 9 lives, because he doesn't care whether Roger Mukasa is standing on the ropes. He will go big and break the ropes by going high and above, flying over the boundary. We salute you, Tabby Dennis. We see you. Yes, Tabby Dennis again managing to cross right in front of the comms box. A living legend. We need to give people their roses when they are still alive.
I agree with you.
lively character Derby Dennis was. Typical fast bowler.
And guess what Tabby does for a living? He owns a bar.
No surprises. Well, it's 3 dot balls at the halfway stage in this particular over. Frank Subuga has conceded 6 runs.
There's Muhumuza goes again. He goes big. The monkeys will be running out of those trees there.
Good contest, as we did mention, off spinner bowling. Deus Muhumuza does recognize that for Celylon to have a chance, they need to score consistently at least at 10 runs and over, and sends that down into the valley for 6 runs. That means Frank Subuga has conceded 12 runs so far in this particular over. A very good over for Celylon. They'll be hoping that Deus Muhumuza can continue firing and get his firing range to get Celylon close to that total.
The captain, Saud Islam, bringing Frank Subuga to bowl from the end where the ground is bigger. But Deus Muhumuza knows his bat will do the talking. And he's a sort of player who kills you softly. He almost killed the Kenyans in that opener of the Africa finals.
Good cricket there from Deus Muhumuza. Follows up the maximum with a single. Innocent, wouldn't you have been tempted perhaps to give Brian Masaba a go at this particular time with 2 right-handers batting, and the fact that Brian Masaba takes the ball away from the 2 right-handers at a time when they need to score 10 and over.
Obuya goes, chance for Rizu. Riazat Alisha will not take the catch but will stop the boundary. It wasn't sweetly timed. Obuya knows it could have been worse, but he'll take the single and he's happy to rotate the strike. Something we've been literally begging from here. Could he have had you? Does he have an earpiece? Do you lend him one of your earpieces, Davis?
Well, a 14 run over there for Celylon, much needed to give themselves a chance in these ranches. Interesting for me, again, is I'm a bit shocked and disappointed that Brian Masaba has not bowled yet, especially the fact that there are 2 right-handed batters on the wicket. Brian Masaba taking the ball away from them I would think would be a bit of a challenge to the right-handers that will be looking to score at 10 runs and over.
66 for 1 is the score in 10 overs. Aziz Damani giving Celylon a chance to bounce back in the game.
Doing everything within their power.
Achalam looking very sleek and nice behind the stumps, grasping everything. He reminds me of that movie, Gifted Hands.
Yeah, very, very competent wicketkeeper, Fred Achalam is. And he has, without a doubt, found his way into the national setup and made a name for himself as a frontline wicketkeeper batter. He's done, each time he's been tasked to do a job with the ball, with the bat in hand, he's done exactly what has been required from him. So we'll be hoping that he continues that kind of form going into the busy schedule that the cricket cranes do have next year.
Henry Senyundo coming in and playing not second fiddle to a seasoned and another senior campaigner, Frank Subuga, trying to right the wrongs from Frank Subuga's over. Frank has gone for 33 in 3 overs. Senyundo is doing it a better way. And Saud Islam at point is trying to pump up the volume by telling Senyundo in the local dialect, whereby they knew, trying to send the signal to the batsman, you're not doing enough to help your team. Sort of the games, Davis, you were good at. Getting into the skin of someone. Deus goes.
Shot.
Does it go to the boundary? Onto the roof. I think he wanted that one to go right into his kit bag, such that he takes it back home. It will be 6 runs in the scoreboard. It is Ceylon Lions that are chancing their arms at anything in the zone.
Innocent, just to give you a bit of perspective, you must feel for Deus that he didn't have a lot of options because this particular over, Robinson had already eaten up half the over and had only picked up 1 run. So it simply meant Deus Muhumuza must find the boundary to ensure that they score at least at 10 runs and over. Gets the 6 first up, and he clearly is looking like he wants to pick up at least a single, rotate strike, and ensures that he does face the first ball of the next over. Good cricket from him.
3 his arms at that partial delivery. Didn't get bat onto it. I don't know who is buying the drinks already, but I can tell you there's going to be a big party out here in Chambogo as soon as this game ends, because the frothy bitter just passed right under our noses. The borders are still closed, but I tell you, I can sense it all. Celylons into the 70s, and it is 11 overs gone. Another 9 overs to go. 80 odd to win.
Yeah, we are getting into the final bend of this particular game, and to be honest with you, final bend of this tournament, and you would say it's evenly placed. The fact that Celylon have only lost 1 wicket, and Deus Muhumuza is finding his hitting range, picking up quite a number of maximums, much needed maximums. But with the end of that over, you would say successful over, you would say from Senyondo Henry. That has forced a bowling change from the estate's end. And Saud Islam, or to be exact, Gulam, the captain of Aziz Damani, has been forced to try and get back a seamer, and he's gone for the talented Kenneth Wisewa to try and have a go at Deus Muhumuza. Importantly for Kenneth Wisewa, he needs to ensure he does not bowl in that hitting arc of Deus Muhumuza outside of stump, otherwise the ball will race down into the parking lot.
2 years without having a ball because of a back injury. Kenneth Wisewa is back and is right into the mix of this one. Deus Muhumuza gives it a full face. Frank Nsubuga throws it to the, what many people your age, Davis, would think is the longer side. Pinpoint throw to the keeper's gloves. Kenneth Wisewa getting a chance to bowl for the first time since 2019 December in Oman during that tour to Namibia in April 2021 this year. And Kenneth has always been showing that he can do it all over again, become the all-rounder that the nation wants him to be. Obuya goes straight to Roger Mukasa. He doesn't see it. Roger Mukasa takes cover as the ball flies past him. Because a little bit comical, it has you laughing, but you know, they tell you where the shades. You buy the shades, wear them, use them to field. They're not for show off.
You know, it's one of those things I always say that the sad part, or the fortunate or unfortunate part about cricket is that this game it's not an indoor sport. It is going to be played under the sun, unfortunately, so you need to prepare yourself, as you rightly state, maybe get some shades on. Correct shades, not the ones that may be coming from certain countries and certain continents, as Roger Mukasa has been known to associate with. But unfortunately for Aziz Damani, that costs them quite a number of runs. And a bit of luck and fortune going Obuya's way, picks up a boundary of what could have been a dismissal.
And I tell you, talking about Obuya's way is one that has shown a man who can play in 2 gears. From scoring at 40% strike rate, Obuya has taken it up. He's moving at 71, 25 from 35. Not bad. It's not looking too ugly. And he has 18 runs in boundaries. So 7 of those runs have been dot balls, have been singles, and the dot balls percentage is still way up there. But is he trying to play like the West Indians? If you've got power, rely on it. Don't be shaken up by the dot balls.
Well, to be honest with you, when you look at, you try to be the fly on the wall between perhaps when the money players are having a bit of a strategic plan, they will not mind having Obuya or on strike or in this particular at this particular time on the wicket. They will not mind him. They will feel that he's not inflicting as much damage, unlike Deus Muhumuza that is continuing to rotate strike, but not just rotate strike. He's continuing to handsomely find the boundary, and not just the boundary, and also get the maximums. So Deus Muhumuza will be the person that Aziz Damani will be hoping to see the back of his dressing his shirt. Alex Obanda running on with a message for the batters. That is just another indication of how important this game is to Celylon Lions.
Deus Muhumuza will walk back and listen to those words from Alex Obanda, because experience is respected in this game. You don't buy this experience in a supermarket. First thing Alex told me when he saw me walking in was like, you are supposed to be with us on the ground playing today, Innocent. I know my rust. I don't want to go and show my ineptness on the ground. I need some 3 months of hard work to be able to turn over this left arm. I had a game yesterday, by the way, for the media team. I was the difference, but I won't be saying about that game. For a person who played national team cricket and the underage teams, I can't be praising myself for scoring 20 odd not out and taking 2 wickets. In a game against PWDs surely, I can't be waxing lyrical, but I can tell you, I feel I am a bit gingerly. I need to be on the ground running as well. I could have had a chance to score the winning run for Celylon Lions today. These are two teams I hold dear because Aziz Damani have a fatherly figure in their CEO Shiva Koti, who has made sure the national team players are well looked after, even when there are no national team engagements. And me as the media manager of the national team, that touches my heart. And then Celylon Lions is where I've had a chance to play my last cricket before the curfew and the COVID pandemic. So it's a home versus home for me. I don't know. Dennis Musari was telling me I have got 2 wives today. He doesn't know where I will be sleeping tonight. But I tell you, it's a merry-go and a happy merry-go-round for me. I'm happy with whoever wins. Cricket must win at the end of the day, like we were always told.
Well, yeah, of course, hats off to the different CEOs of these particular clubs. Of course, Shiva has done a tremendous job with Aziz Damani. And not just on the ground, but off-ground activities. You would say welfare in terms of especially the players. So hats off to him. Clear indication yet again from Ruan as well, from Celylon Lions and Sere. Shot. Beautiful shot there from Deus Momuza. Short delivery from Kenneth Wise for balls that 2 straight. And he gets the full punishment. Deus Momuza simply pulls that down to vacant fine leg region. Picks up a much needed boundary. Celylon Lions are in these ranches. Innocent Daula Yashua. They are making light work of these ranches. They've only lost 1 wicket. And they are pushing Aziz Damani to the limit.
We need a festive season of cricket because the guys look like they've been missing to play this game. Just helping it round his back. Deus Mumuza, a good slower one. They are happy to give him the singles. But I tell you, he's also finding the boundary. And with 9 runs required every over, if Mumuza is there, they will get what they need. I can tell you the stadium announcer here, Mr. Joel Epiangu, finding his voice as well as Celylon Lions tick off the runs. The game is delicately poised. It's a good contest going on here. 85 for 1 in 12 overs. Celylon Lions need 80 in 8 overs.
10 and over is absolutely gettable. Innocent, for me, a little bit of a concern just to get you off this particular fixture. Aren't you a little bit worried that of the 22 men that have played this particular game today, none of them is in the under-19 squad going to the World Cup? Don't you feel the under-19s might have missed out on getting some quality game time against the best cricketers in the nation?
And again, in both dugouts, they are under-19 players. It's unfortunate they have not been selected for this particular one. I saw Ismail Munir, who is made sure Uganda A suffered 3 losses in a row. They were only to get the monkey off their back just 2 days ago when they won their first game to make the series 3-1. Ismail Munir can bat. If I am Saud Islam and Gulam Hunza and Brian Masaba, I would be getting Ismail Munir to play in this particular fixture to have a feel of what it means to play in the final.
Well, Innocent, I can at least categorically tell you that I've been part of quite a number of debates, and we'll be hoping that maybe UCA will eventually unveil some of those things we talked about. The intention of how to get our development structures and get these younger players going. For me, it's one of the things we talked about. At least two under-19 players from either end should be in these teams to try and get some much-needed practice. And not just the practice, but also play alongside some very, very good players. That will allow them to only improve and get better quickly. But just as you guys get into the final bend, really, you actually get into the final stretch, this particular fixture allow us reintroduce Ismail Dakaba Chigongo into the commentary box to come and perhaps confuse the rest of the masses as they go into the back end of this inning.
And to not only be one change in the comms box, Innocent Daula has done his mileage. Dennis Musali has had enough coffee and enough hugs from the sidelines. Dennis, welcome to the comms box. Enjoy your show.
Thank you very much, Davis. Thank you, Innocent. Difficult game to call at this point, but Celylon Lions are giving it a very, very good go. And that's another one of those, a 4, not even a dive could pull it back. Interesting game. When I walked in and found Aziz Damani struggling, eventually they posted a very commendable 164 for 8. and Celylon Lions are giving it a very, very good go. Remember, they have wickets in hand, and Dennis, probably that's the most important thing in T20 cricket. Wickets in hand mean everything.
No lies there, Dakaba, because Celylon Lions need 75 runs or 45 balls. Not difficult, very, very possible. And like you've mentioned, they have 9 wickets in hand because they've only dropped that 1 wicket. Deus Mahomes and Robinson Obuya are already set. Robinson on 30 and Deus on 28. So therefore, it's going to be an interesting end to this one. I always like to call it the late show. I don't know if Straka will be in studio today to give us a late show.
You need to have lived very long to know Straka Mwezi. Big television star. Back in the day doing a lot of Ugandan music. So, and the show there. But yes, like stated, very interesting finish in the offing. And I like that. I like that, Dennis. If you can't hit for 4 or 6, get a run. Switch ends and let everyone have to look at another batsman.
I think what Robinson and Deus have done well so far is to make sure that they complement that boundary hitting with the runs and twos. And they are staying with the rate. The asking rate right now is 10.3. But they are at least they are still picking about 7 runs each over. So therefore, they are not far off the required rate, and that keeps them in the hunt. Normally in T20 cricket, Dakar, the trick is to push the game as close as possible up to the end, and then anything can happen at the back end of the innings because the pressure works both ways.
Butterfingers at the end. The bowler maybe is trying to get his yorker length wrong. We've been discussing off-air that dropped catch by Hassan Ali in the T20 World Cup semi-final, Pakistan versus Australia. A colleague of mine who supports Pakistan, the moment Ali dropped start, did text me and say, Ali has dropped the World Cup. And indeed, he had. But still a long way to go. At 10.3 and over, all you need is maybe to get 2 overs where you score 15, and then it's under double figures.
Still anyone's game right now.
Surely
what is your gut, Ismail, telling you?
My gut is always telling me I'd rather have runs to defend than a score to chase. So my gut is telling me Aziz Damani. Yes, you might say pressure works both ends, but maybe it's easier to hit yorker length than to hit a 6 at the end.
From that submission, Ismail, means you're very good with dealing with the pressure, because I know most teams there are very few teams in T20 cricket that like to defend a score, because each one of them prefers to make sure that they are there up to until the end. Robinson Obuya goes big.
This goes high and should be out, should be taken, and it's taken by Franco Nsobuga right there. Big wicket. A set batsman is gone. The pressure now, Dennis, after that very, very good partnership, is transferred back to the Celylon Lions.
Robinson Obuya, unfortunately, doesn't get under that very well. He's only able to sky that, and one of the safest hands in Ugandan cricket settles himself under that ball and is able to take the catch. Frank Nsubuga
looked very comfortable, but long gone. Everyone, I think, watching would think they can field there because the catch was so easy. Bread and butter.
And sometimes you would think that for a man of his age, Frank Nsubuga will be 42 soon. He should be in the inner ring, not on the boundary, but he seems very, very comfortable on the boundary.
That's 2 wickets down. Like I said, Celylon Lions still have all the wickets in hand, but they cannot allow the run rate to escalate. And actually now Dennis, the new batsman, does not have time to set himself. Probably he has 4 balls, and then thereafter he must go hard or go home.
Right now both sides actually need to be hitting So therefore, maybe Deus will take the initiative for a couple of balls, but not so many. But Sebanja Jonathan also has to make sure he takes on the game immediately. But Sebanja also very, very competent all-rounder. Therefore, and he can hit the ball quite a mile.
I like the confidence of Sebanja. I've had a conversation with him when he's been dropped for a national team, and sometimes he feels he has to be there for the team every time. You like players who, when they are dropped, they don't just sulk about it. They speak of what they could have contributed. Single, well, that was very close. I don't think the throw was good, because if the wicket keeper has to pick it from a distance, he has to be. That makes it very difficult for him to get him run out. He needs to stand behind those blue sticks, so it's very easy to pick and hit. So the throw, I don't think, was a good one.
You're right, Ismail. There, wrong decision from Bilal Hassan choosing to throw the longer end rather than the end that is closer to him. And in cricket basics, they tell you that always make sure you aim for the side that is closer to you rather than, because there was a run-out opportunity both sides.
Come on, Dennis. Kids are told to always pick for the wicket keeper, to throw at the wicket keeper's end. So he's just showing that he got his basics right. Whenever you pick the ball, look at the wicket keeper, and that's why he went. Potato, potato.
Better over this one here from Kenneth Wise. So the first one didn't go so well because Deus Muhumza took him on, but he has come back and picked up a very good wicket, and that wicket of Robinson Obuya, who had been in quite some time. I'm sure they will try and bring back Bilal Hassan to bowl at the back end of the innings, because he has those reverse swinging balls, and
of course the off cutter,
and that makes it very, very difficult for batters to hit.
You said that it's very important to take it as deep as possible when you're chasing in T20 cricket, but also the value of good death bowling cannot be understated or cannot be overstated, because you win games because when you bowl very well in the final 5 overs, get your walkers, get your reverse swing, get your off cutters, at the end get your slower ball to be crisp, and then you have a chance. So Aziz Damani are hoping that those who will bowl in the final 5 will be the guys who get all those basics. It's not enough in the death overs to bowl full and straight like you're told at the start of the game. Full and straight is bread and butter for batsmen in T20 cricket, so there's got to be more than just full and straight. A change at the Chambogo end. A change at the Chambogo University end with the bowlers. Brian Masaba, the national captain, is coming on. Watched him very long. Medium pace. Now right arm off spin. I like what they're doing. He has to bowl from over the wicket, not round the wicket. I didn't like in Aziz Damani's innings when Jonathan Sebanja chose to bowl one of his off right arm spinners from round the wicket, because that cost them 2 very bad overs, and that's why the score probably, there should have been 140 or probably should have been 150 is 164. So always bowl over the wicket. You have a bigger chance to attack the wicket than when you go around, because then you're only defending.
Interesting there. James Bamlese not giving that as a wide. I think there's a lot of turning there. The challenge is on Deus facing his boss, Brian Masaba, the captain, and Deus, the vice captain.
Yeah. And the switch hit.
The chase is on here. Frank Supuga is going to run past Henry Senyondo, who was actually ahead of him.
Ahead of him, and 20 years younger. Divide by 2, and Supuga gets there before him.
That man is an engine. Chuma Chomudachi is what they used to call him among his mates. I remember Joel Oluwenya and the rest used to call him Chuma Chomudachi. I just never understood why. But he takes care of himself and his body. That's why he's as fit as a youngster.
And you know he suffered an injury this year, if you remember, while playing for the national team. That injury on one of the tours that I thought, actually I almost wrote him off after that one, but the response for the last two qualifiers has been stellar from him. Another switch hit, and that is well fielded by Henry Senyondo. But had he missed it, still Franco Nsubuga was going to get there before him.
This Aziz Damani side Ismail, kind of like Lewis Hamilton dominating Formula One. I wonder how they stay motivated. That every other time they come out to play or compete against other clubs, they actually want to win.
Does Premier Cricket Club ring a bell? One of the last teams I supported loudly. Premier Cricket Club. Before there was Manchester City, there was Premier in Ugandan cricket. One of my friends, Davis Karashan, was part of that, but he never wants to discuss what happened with Premier. Whenever you ask him, he plays shy. Yeah. He actually plays defense on the back foot.
He was the recruiter and the agent, the player, and the captain of the team.
Captain of the team.
So I'm thinking he had some sign-on fees.
Yeah.
For every player he recruited in the team. He knew he wanted to play with, and once he brought him in the side, he also had to make sure that he gets his agency commission.
Premier, we miss you. Rest in peace.
But I think the evolution of local cricket started with Premier.
Yeah.
And putting in a lot of money in clubs. That is where the likes of my Wanderers faded away, because our commitment in terms of resources, maybe the heart was there, but the pockets were not matching that feeling.
And it's actually after Premier came to the party that, and that is a very, very good wicket. Try to move and play the ball around the wicket. Couldn't do that. Sebanja, I thought that was it's a very difficult chase to take, Dennis, against pace, even if it's medium pace, for you to expose the wickets and try to play the ball around. But T20 cricket is about innovation. Celylon lands down. That's a third wicket. Now the pressure. You don't want new batsmen coming in at this point. You want those who started the job to finish it.
Unnecessary there from Jonathan Sebanja. Sometimes those risky shots, Ismail, it's better to play them at the end rather than now. There's about 4 more overs left in this game. So if you want to be there up to until the end, you're better off cutting out the risk and going the conventional way. Keep milking the total. Coach Martin Suji always used to tell us, Fika Karibu, get close. Make sure you get close. Once you get close, then it is anyone's game. It will be okay for you to play a ramp in the second last over. But right about now, you expose other guys, maybe who are not suitable for the role and may not be able to deliver the goods.
People have watched way too much Kevin Peterson. Could probably play a switch hit on his fast ball. And this someone was batting in the top order and the link between the top and mid order. Could possibly be very reckless, but probably one of the most competent batsmen that England has ever produced. Can he go 2-in-2? That's high, and it's safe. It's safe.
The owner and proprietor of the side, Ruan Jarantra, has to do the job for himself. Maybe
why
with those
pay them?
moves.
Why pay them? If you can do the job, why pay them?
Negative tactics there from Davis, but they can only come from him. He has always liked to play like Ichuli.
Now
it
Deus
becomes
has to hit the ball.
That's a problem, because now Deus has to do 2 things. Has to make sure he's scoring the runs, because his partner is just new,
and he's not one who's going to run hard. Yet late in the game, you not only need to hit the ball, but you must ensure you're scoring off every ball. And where you could have run 2 in the first 5 overs, in the final 5 or the final 3, 1 must become 2. 2 must become 3. So makes it very difficult. You need the same level of athleticism at that stage of the game, where you need to hit the ball as hard as you can.
maybe away from the game, Ismail, I'll ask you that yesterday I was on a TV show where the conversation was that for cricket, the perception that people have out there, we are a rich man's sport, which I've never bought into that argument. What do you think? You've been around long enough and around a lot of sports.
There's a mentality, of course, around cricket and golf. Those two particular sports to be for the rich. I think the reality says something different. Most of the players, and that's a good hit. Whoa, not well fielded, and that's
Roger
a four.
Mukasa loses the ball,
Again,
loses sight of that ball.
that's the second time that has happened to him in this game. But like you're saying, the story tells something totally different. The players who have come through these sports come from the most humble backgrounds or the poor backgrounds. I don't want to use the word poor, because you're only poor for a moment. You could be rich the next day. Most of them come from very difficult backgrounds. I always make a reference to golf. Charles Yokwe, the late, came from probably one of the most impoverished neighborhoods in Jinja, and then eventually Namuongo also lived in a
Which
slum.
neighborhood is that?
I think around Masese. That's where I started. Told he used to walk miles to get a chance as a caddy, and then eventually was able to make it there. And most of these players, we know their backgrounds. Maybe the challenge why it's a rich man's sport is that it needs special equipment that maybe football doesn't. You can get your banana leaves and then you're able to mold a ball or something like that. And this needs special equipment. And then there's also the thing about cricket that the game is played in some of the most affluent schools in this country, the traditional ones. And the Ministry of Education for me has not been tough enough on private schools that have opened in the last 20 years or so to have facilities for sport. Some schools are, for me, are in arcades, or they've gone for the cheaper option of just having one football field and that's it. So it requires a bit of room to play, and the private schools have not helped. There is not enough of them. I think you'd pick on Mukono Parents as a private school that has gone after it, but all the others are government schools, probably government-aided schools that have gone hard at cricket, and that's what makes it a rich man's sport. But the perception is wrong. Probably more than 75% of the players in the national team did not have a television at home growing up, but they've made it here. And to have a television, you need to be rich, because it's only pay TV today to be able to watch TV.
That's true. The very, very good analysis there, Ismail. You're not wrong, because the schools, the government-aided schools, from what I see in cricket, all of them really have a lot of land that they can commit to other sports, maybe cricket or football or something. Mwere sits on over 40 acres of land. When we went to Soroti, the options there at Teso College in terms of cricket, I understand they have about 8 different fields in the school. And when they can afford to host the Coca-Cola football without without sharing the opportunity with someone else.
Oh, and this should be gone. Or it's a 6. It's a 6.
Deus
Big
Muhumuza,
hand. The vice captain of Uganda, Deus Muhumuza, is going hard,
Deus
and he needs another boundary in this over to make it worthwhile. That's a pressure of having to chase a game. I hope in the background you can hear the P-side announcer, Innocent Indaula, gets very excited and animated when there's a game of cricket. Tries to hit that for 4, doesn't. They need to run a second. No. The thing you talk about, the athleticism, if Deus Muhumuza's partner could go as fast, I think that was a 2. Like I said at the end, a single must be a 2. A single in the first 5 overs should be a 2 in the final.
Ruan, very, very competent with the bat as well. If it is in his zone, he will go after it. Man from Sri Lanka has built a cricket oval, a private facility, by the way, on Masaka Road in Kamengo.
Wow. I was on Masaka Road earlier today. I should have checked it out. What other facilities apart from the oval? Because for it to be economically sustainable, there must be something else that people come to do. Needs maybe a pool, maybe needs a kids park or a hotel. Something like that would help the facility. We need to come back several years. I was looking at, for example, Headingley in the UK. I think the hotel is what keeps, because the hotel is attached to actually the fence of the over there in the UK, and those things are very, very important to make it sustainable.
Unfortunately, Headingley can't host international cricket games for now
Yeah.
due to other reasons. But you're not wrong about it, and that is something that we actually saw when we used to play in the East African Premier League a couple of years back. When you go and visit the Nakuru Sports Club and the Nairobi Sports Club as well, I was amazed. The facility is near. It's a 3-star hotel. It's not a 5-star or anything, but it's a very, very decent facility. So probably that brings in some money to make sure that the ground is sustainable.
And then the variety of sports, you have a tennis court, you have a swimming pool in the same neighborhood. That is normally very, very helpful. And as a country that needs facilities, I think you need to applaud anyone who goes after putting up one.
I imagine what we could have done, what we would do without the St. Mary's Stadium in Kitende.
Yeah.
And right now, I know Ruan is planning to build actually a country club at the Serenity Oval in Kamengo. So definitely, once it's open to the public in January next year, there are plans to bring the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka and the President of this country to be the official guys who open it up. But it should be an amazing facility. When you go to play on Saturday, you don't think about curfew and returning to Kampala.
Yeah.
You know, you can just stay for the weekend and come back Sunday evening.
The only thing, from all the things that you've said, makes it difficult for me to attend the opening ceremony, because I can imagine the security when presidents are involved. What's the name of the Prime Minister? Is it Rajapaksa?
Yes, for Sri Lanka. Yes.
Sri Lanka, yeah. Yeah. You see how I follow my politics. I watch news as much as I watch sport, by the way.
You are an all-round man, Ismail, and you always have your facts on your fingertips. So definitely, I wouldn't be surprised if you even knew who the new Prime Minister of Barbados is, a country that was just recently.
The lady?
Yes, the lady.
Yeah, the lady. Did I get the names? Sarah? Mason? Yeah, the lady. I saw.
I could never
No,
know.
actually, when I was watching the independence ceremony, my eyes were on Rihanna. She showed up in that gold dress and looked every bit like Rihanna.
Your eyes were on Rihanna. For those of us who play cricket, our eyes were on Sir Gary Sobers, who is one of the heroes.
And that goes high. That should be another catch for Frank Nsoboga. Are they just gifting him with the ball?
Nice and easy. This is a very big ground, Ismail. It's hard to hit sixes on it. So definitely when you take that aerial route, you need to make sure that the ball stays hit all the way.
And maybe the easiest place to hit the six is to the sides. You must play either square leg or over gully, something. Not straight down the ground. It's very, very difficult to get the ball that far. I also thought it was probably easier to hit a six down the side of the Chambogo University Oval, straight. I saw Alex Obanda hit some there. I did not see them hit down to the Ginger Road end. But that's 4 wickets down for Celylon Lions. I think the long vigil now. The long vigil.
Champagne on nice stuff here for Aziz Damani.
Another title on the way. Unless someone is going to go gaga and score 20 off and over.
The thing about the way Bilal Hassan bowls, it makes it very, very difficult to get under his bowling for you to be able to hit him for sixes. So that maximum boundary hitting option is actually taken out of the equation, and you'll have to find another way. So it's going to be very difficult. Deus Mahomes gets fortune favors the brave.
That is the safest shot in cricket, the highest scoring shot in cricket. Over the slips. Any batsman who does not have runs off something like that does not deserve to play the game. But now when you mention Bilal Hassan, I'm reminded of those very bad 2 overs against Kenya in Rwanda. Conceded what? Anything close to 50 or 40, 45 plus?
Went for 52 in 4 overs.
In 4 overs, yeah. And 40 of those were off the final 2 overs that he bowled.
Yeah, and he struggled a bit in Rwanda. Eventually, and I think I mentioned it in maybe a column I wrote for Kawowo, that he ended up becoming the change bowler for Uganda. I mean the change player, because that 11 was very tight, and for someone who's consistently been in the team, he ended up being the one that has to go out for someone else to be able to get a chance to play. Very good work there.
He's taken off the arm and straight hit. What do you see? I think he's in. I think he's in.
Not given out there by,
not given out, yeah.
but very, very, very good cricket there from Kenneth Waiswa. Very, very, very alert to the danger. Because Deus Mahomes has started so slowly for the second one, he made sure the throw goes to where Deus was running.
And you know, the problem is that when you're running 2 and you're taking on a fielder, you do not stop and look then run. You're supposed to just turn around and go.
I think initially Deus thought the throw would come this other side where he's not, because it is closer to Kenneth, but Kenneth managed to make sure the throw goes the other side.
The basics always go to the wicket keeper's end.
In my opinion, if we had
the closest wicket.
if we had DRS here, Ismail, I think Deus could have been out, but the umpires make a good decision, because if you're in doubt, the benefit always has to go to the batsman.
Tries to go at it, doesn't really get it, hits the bottom of the bat and rolls away to square leg. Single off that one, so Bilal Hassan gets to bowl to, gets a change on who he's supposed to bowl to.
Shall we have that famous show on WBS? Those many years, I don't know Ismail if I ever worked for WBS.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm not that old.
I used to keep us up.
I used to have a roommate. He's called Hashim Abdallah, and he was a big fan of Straka. Oh, that's a good one, Bilal Hassan. Very good Yorker.
Yeah, that is the kind of stuff we expect from him.
At the death.
Exactly. That's
Very
a
good
reverse
Yorker,
ball.
knocked out.
Reverse swinging ball. Make sure he clips. It's very, very
That is
difficult
the
to take
bat.
away. Yeah.
Dennis, I don't know why so often at the top the pace bowlers do not bowl that ball. Or is it about the energy you lose bowling it when you have another 10 in ODI or another 3 overs, say if you're bowling 4 in T20, or you'll have those countless overs in Test cricket. They don't bowl that. The ball is bowled in the first 2 or 3 overs, or often enough, and that is often a ball that picks the wicket. As Dennis prepares his solid answer, the wickets are tumbling at the end. Bilal Hassan should be very pleased with him. It's been a very, 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 very good over that he's put up already. That is 2 wickets off it. Almost impossible to think of anything other than an Aziz Damani victory here. Bilal Hassan. Oh, and he goes for the same one that got in the other wicket. Luckily for the batsman, he's outside the line. Virender Sewa would have. He had stayed long enough. Had he lived in the era of 2020 cricket, you know, I don't know how many balls in Test cricket he hit for 6, and it was the first ball of the innings. That 300 against Pakistan, that 6 in that 387-run chase against England after the Mumbai bombings. First ball, declaration on day 4, and first ball goes for 6. Kevin Peterson says that's the moment he knew they were in a game. On that evening, he scored 91 and took the game away. And India had that very, very big chase. So maybe there are some who would have. We've seen with Chris Gale, lived in the Tester and lived in the T20 era. There are some who can do that. David Warner can. But there aren't enough names there you can pick. Rohit Sharma, I think plays the same way in both formats nearly. Only his strike rate will go up in the T20, but doesn't go reckless at the start in the Test. Yeah. So you'd rather bowl the Yorkers against the tailenders than against the top order batsmen, because anything like a half ball is 6. Oh, very innovative, very inventive. There for 4. And even there's so many of them, and very close to the wicket keeper, so it had to be perfect. You know the thin line between being extremely intelligent and stupid, right there. Important for any captain to manage his bowlers. It's actually where you earn your bread as a captain when you're fielding. When do you play your bowlers? How do you manage them? Do you still have enough overs for them at the death? Because you'd want Bilal Hassan and Rizat Alisha to have at least 2 each of the final 5 for you to have a very good chance. We have a winner. Yeah. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. You can't win it, so enjoy it. How many no balls can he bowl in an over? If he bowls 3 of them and then we have 3 free hits, then we have what? An 11 ball over? He's done it before, you know. And it was Bilal Hassan, yeah? Can you imagine if he hits 2 6s off at the first 2 balls? But where can he hit the ball? Look at the field setting. I think it's very, very good. Over extra cover. Let's go. And they get that one. batting. Then a no ball and a free hit. You know? This, and well caught by one of the fans there. Very good catch. Yes. Very, very good catch. But it's in the stands. If you bet now and Celylon Lions win, you need no job. The return would be sufficient. I read in one of the most famous athletics magazines, Spike, there is a gentleman in Germany who bet on John Akibwa winning the 400-meter Olympic gold in the hurdles in 1972. Remember, Akibwa qualified for that final, was the slowest of the 8 starters. And after that, he became a betting expert. He took his chance that day and won what was the equivalent of $1 million as per 2000 and I read that, so I think in 2012. He won the equivalent of $1 million in 1972. Can imagine that could be the equivalent of about $12 million in 2012. So no, but that was John Akibwa, probably my greatest sporting moment in Uganda ever, 1972. I didn't watch it in real time, but John Akibwa, wow. The story of an African tragedy. Yeah. Yeah. Great guy. You're doing the count. How many more? No ball, Bilal Hassan, if there is a game here. Oh. It's a very good bouncer given as a wide. Come on, umpire. Yeah. So he gives it on what? On height? Yeah. Very generous guy, I think lived around the Nakao Nagure Estates, was a policeman back in the day. Yeah, went around, loved sport in whole. Actually, there's a claim that he chose athletics because he couldn't get into goal. He really wanted to be a goalkeeper and was tall, over 6 foot. So when he couldn't get in there, then he chose athletics. Learned the hurdles as a sprinter because he felt that was his best chance to use his long legs and not the 100 or 200. Those who watched him, including his former English coach, always says Akibwa could have been anything. That's how supremely talented he was. This is a man who won the 400-meter hurdles running from lane 1. Oh, and this should be, no, lands in space. Oh! Suga. If it takes that, probably would have been the highlight. Not that it's a match-winning moment, but could have been quite a highlight because he's running about, 30 meters and then taking a dive forward. Probably the toughest dive actually to take when you're catching a ball, to dive forward. It's easy probably to dive with one hand to the side because you get a spring, or to the left, but to dive forward is the toughest of them. So would have been a brilliant catch, but instead Celylon Lions at 2 and reduced their losing margin. And that goes for Do they even know how to celebrate anymore? Come on, Aziz, Damani. No celebration, really. You know, yeah, they got every time they were getting to the finals, they were winning. I think they lost one. They've lost, must have been to their arch rivals River Plate or to Grêmio. Grêmio was struggling, by the way, in the relegation zone this season. They could be relegated, one of the biggest teams in Brazil. They are, but kudos to Aziz Damani. The luck is in yellow and green. Always, and the team in blue, despite that gallant effort from Deus Muhomuza, not sufficient to take the team over the line. Needed a strike rate probably of about 200, but that's not sufficient there. And Dennis, probably you could pick the match-changing moment of the game for Aziz Damani. For me, Jonathan Sebanja, when he bowled that right arm off spin after they had squeezed Aziz Damani, Saud Islam got loose after struggling and got to his 50. For me, that turned the game, because then they scored, for me, 15-20 runs more than they should have had the bowling combinations been right for Celylon Lions.
That's very true, Ismail. That batting pair from Freda Chelam and Saud Islam, the two of them put on a very much winning total after finding Damani in a bit of trouble. But even with the ball, that the guys who bowled at the back end of the innings, Bilal Hassan and Riyazat Ali Shah, were able to make sure that they stay tight so that they don't give Celylon Lions any chance. Remember, Deus Muhomuza was already a man on a mission, and he thought he was going to take the game away from them. But they've been able to do well and, you know, make sure they win this game. But like you've mentioned, muted celebrations from them. Maybe they just don't know how to celebrate anymore. They've won this for so long. They need a new challenge.
Winning is that kind of habit. I don't know. Every time it must feel new, but it doesn't. This feels like a man who forgets his wife's birthday, Aziz Damani, or someone who forgets their wedding anniversary. Getting the titles ready. I'd love to know the man of series.
Just stick around, Ismail, because that's what's coming up next. But in the next week, what is coming up is the National Ladies Elite League. That will be happening from Friday 10th to Sunday the 12th. 4 teams, the top 60 players, the top 60 lady players in Uganda cricket will be competing against each other. And it will be interesting to see which team will be able to come up on top. The second edition of the Elite League, the first one, there were only 2 sides in it. But this time the teams are 4. And it will be interesting to see when the best ladies come up against each other.
I said that at the top. I think I like Uganda Cricket Association for having a very busy activity calendar, because that's where everything starts. Get the sportsmen, get the cricketers to hit more balls. That's what counts. And you know, I'm really excited about the World Challenge League. It's not too far away, January 18th. That's when it starts here in Kampala. So that is also not too far. So to have a busy activity calendar is a very, very good thing. So every single day you have something about cricket. Actually, as I made it here, the journalist called to find out how a cricket game ends in a draw, because of that game between the media and people with disabilities, or differently abled persons. And that 62 and 62 was a bit of a surprise, but I was doing the education. That depends on the rules. Yeah, there are draws. These days we love our super over, or whatever means you choose to. So to have all those games happening is a very, very good thing from UCA.
And considering the times that we are living in, it hasn't been easy to make sure that the safety of the players is guaranteed, and also a few of the fans who are invited. So it's been difficult, but finally it's been able to be pulled off. But the Elite League is where you want your best players to compete against each other, because in their clubs, Ismail, some of them, you will find all of them in one particular club, and the competition does not match up to the standards of all of them. So this time, it is power against power, punch for punch. You
know,
need to be the best. Now it's the time to know who is the best amongst their peers.
I've always wanted to dismiss that knowledge about best players competing against one another. Using one analogy, New Zealand rugby. The All Blacks go to 2 schools, high school, all of them, and play for 2 teams in the Vodacom Super Rugby, in the Super Rugby competition, and then they show up and beat everyone despite not facing competition. It's a special attribute, actually, of New Zealand rugby, that they're able to get all their players. You find most of those players, the generation of Richie Mako and Danny Carter and the others, they all went to 2 schools, and it's the same today. These days when I watch the All Blacks, the first thing that comes to mind is how proud a father and mother, the Barrett parents, are to have 3 children play in the best team in the world and 3 of them starting. It's an amazing feeling. I always think about actually I don't watch them think about what they are going to do. I think about what their parents are thinking. How lucky they are to have all their 3 sons in the All Blacks team.
True that. I would like to thank you, Ismail, for coming and staying with us. We hope to see you next week when the ladies play amongst themselves in the Elite League. But
no
of
one
course,
should invite me for a Kwanjula next weekend, because I have a lot of those.
Really?
Now I've got into that age group where there's a wedding and a Kwanjula every week. They are taking away my love for sport. Guys, get married in silence.
That's Ismail for you. He's not here. He won't be available for any social events, especially in January when the Challenge Day comes around from 20th to Feb 4th. But we shall also be having the under-19s going to the World Cup on Jan 1st in the West Indies. So a lot of cricket happening for us between January and February to keep us very busy. But we'll join the rest of the guys who are going to present the player of the series and also present Aziz Damani with the winning trophy. Stay on Deep End and we'll be sure to bring you a lot more cricket. But for now, we'll be able to bring you the match presentations from the middle.
Thank you. Small prize giving ceremony.
Leo tatuka.
Very good game of cricket today and very beautiful day. The Lord gave us the perfect weather. Both teams have come a long way. Damani, just 7 years down the road, they were in Division 2.
Jeko. Bagala kwen.
Celylon, just 3 years old in Ghana cricket and playing in their first final today. Showed that they can mix of men. One play to go to this side, 3% around. One presentation, this tournament had broken out, but able to arise again thanks to virus. To give out the first award of the evening is the head of sports nation media group, Mr. Ismail, the man who makes sure cricket is on TV, NTV Uganda, KFM, the Damani newspaper, on Spot TV, in the Uganda newspaper, in the Daily Nation, in East African Standard. It's a big man. And I'm happy as well in the cricket jersey. So I'm going to please step up. You pushed out very many big names in the Uganda lineup, and I tell you them as well because they are coming for you. You now they're hunted. Mr. Shiva, you want to say something? Quickly say it now before we give out the main trophy. The game is very good. Especially, I appreciate David Mumza. Brother, I'm sorry, you are the man of the match for today, even in the morning and evening. And next position goes to maybe Rizal Sanisha, next to Alex Banda. You three have made the day very clear. Sorry, I don't know why presentation is not clear. I also feel a little bit hurt. Sorry, you explained UCA. At least you should have something for the man of the match and people. And it's okay. We are going to make one more EV for Rwanda tournament, which they have won and come here. It's because of my personal issues of office and I'm out of country. But I'm promising the national team you'll have a Christmas party with me before Christmas. And that day, Hamza will get his trophy. Thank you. I'm not blaming UCA, but it helped me to organize something better.
Thank you. UCA, I have had you. Innocent Dawla is an elite volunteer of UCA. The Honorable Secretary is here. The man in charge of the finances is here. The selectors are here. And the chairman. We will do something for the winners today, the African champions as well. And they've always looked after them very, very well. And it's only fitting that another African champion was the player of the series who played against Simon. And another African champion, those who was the player of the day. Thank you. To the winners, Honorable Secretary, please escort the chairman. Honorable Secretary, please escort the chairman to come and hand over this trophy to the winners. Captain and CEO Aziz Damani right at the end. Damani, let's do this. DJ, give us a championship song as Damani come up to the podium.
Pasaba.